Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first and only stream of the week. Where's the giant card? Oh, it's on the side. Sometimes when someone sits in the chair, I forgot to put it back. But okay, that's fine. What's up, everybody? It is the last stream before I leave for Worlds tomorrow. I'm starting to get very excited. I'm trying to distract myself from all that. So yeah, no, I'm good. It's like I'm a positive kind of stressed this week, if that makes sense. You know, I'm stressed, I'm excited, but not in a bad way, because I am obviously very much looking forward to leaving to Paris tomorrow, traveling, meeting everybody, being part of the World Championship and all that. Yeah. So today I don't really have a concrete plan for today. I think we're just gonna hang out a little bit. I don't even know how long we're gonna go today, because I do have to get up very early tomorrow. I'm going to Paris by train, and I think I have to like leave the house at like 5:30 a.m. or something, maybe 6. Yeah, but I leave very early tomorrow, so I have to like pack my stuff and try to get to bed a little bit earlier today. So we might not go the full distance, but we'll see. The train ride is not actually that long. I think like I have to go like it takes me like an hour or so roundabout to get to Frankfurt from where I live, and then from Frankfurt it is just one train, and I think it's like 3.5 hours to go to Paris from Frankfurt. Without any changes, so I think that should be fine. But I don't know. They just booked me an early connection. I believe it's because, if I remember correctly, I think it's because there already are some plans for tomorrow. Like when we arrive, I think we have like interviews and photo shoots and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm getting up early tomorrow. But yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Decks are submitted, of course. We did have to submit the decks in the night from Sunday to Monday. I am happy with the decks that we've submitted. I'm looking forward to it. At this point, there's nothing left to do other than try to play your best Yu-Gi-Oh this upcoming weekend. So that is all there is. We're also not going to play Master Duel today. I want to get my mind off of that for just a day. So what we're going to do is we're going to warm up in a second. We're going to play some mini games. We have some new cards to react to. We have some other videos to react to. It's just going to be a chill stream. I have no idea how long it's going to go. We're just going to talk about different things. We're going to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit. Talk about the TCG just for a moment. And so on and so forth, but like just a chill stream basically. I didn't want to leave you guys without a stream for the entire week, so that is that. All right, let's warm up. We'll be talking about the Master Duel. Yes, right. I forgot about that. Let me actually. Right, I should open that up. We can talk about that too. Yes. All right. Wait, I am on the wrong thingy. Oh, God. I am on the wrong thing. Exposed? Yeah, Twitch dashboard exposed. Okay, wait. Okay, this is right. Now I have to move this window over here. All right. Saved. Okay. Let's guess some cards first things first. Can we draft the Worlds players? We can do a little draft. I don't mind actually for TCG. I think it's easier to do for TCG. because they are single players. But we can if you have a document with all the players, because I don't have that ready. But I don't. Yeah, we can do that for fun later. Okay. This is not. Dude, don't start me off with a Gusto card. Kamui. Is that Dora Dora by any chance? No. What's the other one? Poki Draco? Ah, okay. You feel familiar. That's a Blaze Accelerator. The OG, I think. Yeah. Bestiary. Oh, that is the Shaddoll Trap. No, it's not. Never mind. It's something Dispel. Chain Dispel. Yeah. Ice Barrier? No. That is Ariel. The Necros. No. Gishki? Ah. Okay. Oh, this feels very familiar. Who are you? Oh, I feel like I've seen this. Oh, yeah. Diablos. No. Diabolos. Darkest. It is a very cool looking card, yeah. Darkest Diablos. That's cool. That's a Gem Knight. However, it is one of the main deck vanillas. I think that's Sapphire. Yeah. I don't know what that is. Something Ruins, Temple, whatever. Chronomaly Temple. I believe that is a spell card. Berserker Crush. Battery Man. Battery Man. Maybe not. Not a Battery Man, okay. Gravekeeper. Yeah. Oh, that's the Gravekeeper. Gravekeepers. Is it Oracle or Visionary? Oracle. Almost looks like another Gravekeeper card. But not quite. But it could be. I don't know what it's called though. Oh, it's not Gravekeeper. Okay, Twilight Cloth. Wait, is this card of safe return? This card. Oh, dude, I knew that without zooming. That's a Predaplant. Or maybe, no, wait, no, it's not a Predaplant. It's the one that I always think is a Predaplant, but isn't. It's the gigantic cephalo thingy. Yeah. It's basically a Predaplant before they thought of Predaplants. It very much is a Predaplant. This is something Cybers Link related. I don't know what it's called though. Striping Partner. Spellbook of Eternity. Yeah. Golden Flying Fish. Is this Blue Eyes related? It could be Silver's Cry. Yeah. This is like something Bayer Rock. This is not Bayer Rock Dragon? Golem Dragon. Huh. Wait, which one? Doesn't Bayer Rock Dragon look very similar to that? I have no idea who that is. Oh, the Punk Trap. Okay. Dino Wrestler. I'll have to skip the Dino Wrestler. Marshall Anga. Okay, we're getting some tough ones now. This is something. Is it Marauding Captain or Exiled Force Retrain? It could be Missing Force. No. Nomadic Force? Oh. Oh, there's multiple Exiled Force Retrains. I didn't know that. Creator Incarnate. Ancient Elf. Primal Seed. I don't know. Outburst the Dragon. This feels familiar. Why does it feel familiar? Halberd? Assault mode? Oh, okay. Right. Sandwich, right? Yeah. That is Survivor. That is Sheehan's Smoke Signal. Tyrants. No. Payback? Double Payback? Oh. Dude, they put this guy on cards that aren't called Tyrant? That's not fair. This is very old. Why do I not remember this? Oh, yeah. Oh, the skeleton. The grave. Which number was it? 13? Yeah. This is Heroic Challenger Assault Halberd. This is Utopia. Utopic. This one. Yeah. This is something Defender. No, Reliable. Guardian, not Defender. My bad. That's Prodigy. Is that the Amorphage? Amorphage Lechery? I'm not sure if it is. No. Hermos? Law of Hermos? Oh. Alright. That is Giant Rat. That is a Fire Formation. Fire Formation. It's like one. It starts with an S. Is it Saito? Yeah. One of the newer ones. Is it? It's not Anti, is it? Old Mind? Don't call me that. That's Hop Ear. Dude. This is the alien thingy, man. Saucer? Musiki. Yeah. Who is this? I feel like I've seen this. But I don't know what it's called. Ice Knight. Oh, it does look like that. Terminal World. The other one. Next. Ooh. That's a Salamangrate. Salamangrate. Is that Wolfie? Wolvie? Yeah. Endymion. I've seen this. What is this called again? Argent. Oh, the rank up. Right. My specialty. Rank up magics. Magispector. Wind? No? Reverse? Oh god, I was thinking it entirely different. Yeah. Reverse break. Yeah. I thought this was like a tornado. I didn't see it was a drill. Is that backlinker? Yeah. Chain dog. Necros of Sophia. I know this guy. The little synchro support Tune Warrior. Yeah. Dude, that was pretty good. That could have gotten 4 digits if I just got something a little bit faster. Yeah. That's pretty good. Not washed. All right. Darkor, thank you so much for the 28 months. I appreciate that. Also, Bolpaz, Luke, El Jiminy, Zizo, Grive, Icentrix, and Mascarario, Blinduin, Nilmi, Mod Phantom. Thank you all so much for the subs, the support. All right, let's do this as well. And then the Matrix. We got time today because I don't have anything crazy planned anyways. We're looking for an old warrior monster, higher than level 4, higher attack than 15, less defense than 15 and old. That screams Kuraz to me. Okay. Wait, hold up. Okay, we are looking for a warrior that is not just an effect monster. So what does that mean? It's gotta be a fusion, right? It has to be a fusion. Higher than level 6. A higher than level 6 warrior fusion with less than 2400 attack, but not light or dark. Oh god. Okay, earlier than 2008, I was thinking warrior from another planet, but first of all, I think that has too much defense. Yeah, it has too much defense. Period. What about a hero? I feel like a hero is a good guess. But like, I think Flame Wingman is also a level 6. Yes. But a hero, elemental hero is a good guess. So there's a lot though. There's a lot to go through. I'm trying to, maybe I can think of it instead. But like, the problem is all of the Neo's heroes are going to have too much attack because we're looking at less than 2400. So what about like Necroid Shaman? Is a dark, doesn't work. Okay. What else do they have? Thunder Giant is 2400, also is level 6. What about Mudball Man? Too much defense, also level 6. What about Wild Cyclone? 2008 doesn't, also is a fiend. What about, what's the one with Rampart Blaster? Level 6. Maybe the Destiny hero on the Duelist pack? Destiny heroes are all dark. But I don't even know which one you're talking about. Blade Edge fusion? Wild Edge is stronger than 25. Dark Bride is a good call. No. No, it's not. Dude. Cyber Blader? Ah, not a hero. Very good call. All right, Cyber Blader. I think I would have remembered that as soon as I moved past my obsession with trying heroes, because I was just thinking in one direction. But yeah, no, this is a pretty good call. Yeah, Cyber Blader. Okay. All right, Matrix time. What are we working with today? Oh god, okay. It's all ogre. Okay, I see the gimmick of today, because every single one of these squares you can put Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Okay. So we have a Joker, right? If we really can't think of anything, we could put Ghost Ogre somewhere. All right. Well, let me think. Level 3 tuner, 0 attack. Level 3 tuner, 0 attack. We could use all of the ghost hand traps, of course. We could use all of the ghost hand traps. However, I feel like that would be very obvious. Is there another answer that I can think of? Is there another answer I can... What's... Oh, level 3 tuner, 0 attack. Karakuri? I think Karakuri Komachi has 0 attack. Yeah, I think this one has 0 attack, 1900 defense. Good call. Yeah. A level 3 tuner with 1800 defense. Now, challenge once again, can we think of a tuner with 1800 defense that isn't one of the ghost hand traps? I don't know if I can, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I don't know... I don't really pay attention to the defense on tuners, even though 1800 is not like the craziest defense. Like surely some tuners have 8. There's definitely more than that than just the hand traps. Arborea? Does Arborea have 1800 defense? Because you could be right on that. Ooh, okay, nice call, nice call. Red Rose Dragon has 1800? No, you're lying. Hold up. Red Rose Dragon. Red Rose Dragon has 1800 defense. That's crazy. I never looked at it that way. I don't think I've ever seen a Red Rose Dragon in defense position. Okay, well, a level 3 tuner. Okay, this one has to be easy, right? A level 3 tuner that mentions destroy. A level 3 tuner that mentions destroy. I'm sure Scrap Goblin mentions destroy. Do you think X-Saber Fullhelm Knight counts? Because X-Saber Fullhelm Knight says if it destroys, I think it's like if it destroys a monster in battle, that should count, right? Yeah, it does. Okay, nice. All right. A psychic monster with 0 attack. A psychic monster with 0 attack. Any psychic. Any psychic. I want to think of one myself. Guys, you can stop saying Ghost Ogre. The gimmick of today's puzzle is that Ghost Ogre fits everywhere. Dude. A psychic with 0 attack. Shangri? I was thinking of Shangri-Ira. That was my first one, because when I thought psychics, I was thinking in that direction, but I'm not sure if Shangri-Ira is a machine or a psychic, right? Because Arisart is a machine. I'm not sure if Shangri-Ira is a machine, but what does work is now that we've talked about that, Scareclaw Kashtira would work, right? Yeah. 14%! Jesus Christ. That's probably more popular than actual Ghost Ogre. Okay. A psychic with 1800 defense. Okay, this one is tough. A psychic with 1800 defense. None of the Kashtiras have 1800 defense, I don't think. Zeta, Cosmo, Dark Lady. Okay, come on, be honest right now. There's no way you know these defense stats off the top of your head. You're looking this up, right? You have like something open where you're looking up the stat. Like your data, you're looking at databases. There's no shot. I play psychics. Okay. Bro, I've played Cosmo before, and I'm telling you, I have no idea what the defense on Cosmo Dark Lady is. I looked it up after this. Okay, fair enough. If you've already done this today, then fair enough. Yeah, sure. Let's see if you're lying to me. You're not lying. Okay, Dark Lady has 1800 defense. All right. Okay, a psychic that mentions destroy. Surely that's easy. A psychic that mentions destroy. Serene Psychic Witch, right? Serene Psychic Witch. Yes, easy clap. Easy clap. Why is this the one that comes to my mind first, but it's a 1%er? Am I too old? Did you guys know I turn 30 next week? Anyways. Okay. A light with a quick effect with 0 attack. I put in Thought Ruler. I'm proud of you. Thought Ruler is based. Okay, a light with 0 attack with a quick effect is Effect Veiler. But I think Effect Veiler is way too obvious. I don't want to do that. Cyber Valley. Cyber Valley is not a quick effect, I don't think. Cyber Valley should be a trigger on attack declaration. Quick effect. Light. This can't be that hard. Light, 0 attack, quick effect. Light, 0 attack. Crimson Dragon? Crimson Dragon is a good one. I'm just trying to think of one myself is the problem. I'm trying to... A lot of the things that you're saying, no, I'm like, damn, I should have thought of that. But I kind of want to... I want to get one myself because I feel like there's gotta be one. This can't be that hard. It just cannot be that hard. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, this is going to be so popular, isn't it? 9%. Yeah, okay. 1800 defense, light with a quick effect. Okay, this one I'm not going to have any idea. This one I'm not going to have any idea. 1800 defense, light with a quick effect. Jeez. This is probably the one where if I do this myself, I probably have to put Ghost Ogre. I probably have to put Ghost Ogre because I probably couldn't think of anything else. I mean, yeah, you guys said Zeta earlier. I would have not known. Yeah, 11%. All right. Mentions destroy and is light with a quick effect. This one is probably not too hard. Light, quick effect, mentions destroy. Light, quick effect, mentions destroy. Light, quick effect, mentions destroy. Light, quick effect, light, quick effect, light, quick effect. Dude, so many things I'm thinking of are triggers. I'm thinking of like Light and Darkness Dragon and shit, but that's not a quick effect. Lancia. Lancia is very funny. Lancia is very funny. You are right. It is a quick effect, and it does mention destroy in 2 separate effects, because the other part where if it's destroyed on your opponent's turn, that's very funny. I didn't think of it myself, but I'm gonna put Lancia just for that. I think that's hilarious. Okay. Ghost Ogre and Snow. Oh, Detonator! Jesus Christ, how did I not think of Detonator? Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit was only the most popular answer on 4 out of 9. Dude, Effect Veiler had 50% in the top right. Jesus. It's funny. Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion was the most popular answer top left. 0 attack. You could have put all the Ghost Sisters there. Every single one. And the most popular one was Ghost Bell? Why? Why was Ghost Bell the most popular one out of all the ones? Because it's not Ogre and not Ash? Oh, do you think it's a matter of people are trying to get a low percentage, so they're like, I'm not gonna use Ash Blossom, I'm not gonna use Ghost Ogre. Let me think of a more like rogue one. Let me not put the obvious, and therefore Ghost Bell became the most obvious answer. It's funny. That's very funny. Okay. Well. All right. Okay, y'all, like I said earlier, today is the last stream before I'm leaving for Worlds. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, which means it's probably going to be a little bit shorter than usual. And we're just hanging out today. Like, I have nothing crazy planned because I was so focused on submitting decks for Worlds, which we did do yesterday. But I just wanted, I wanted to go live at least once this week before I leave to Worlds. I didn't want to leave you guys without a stream for the entire week. So we're going to talk a lot about just different things. You know, Worlds is this upcoming weekend. And so I'm going to be gone over the course of the weekend. I will be coming back from Paris on Monday next week. And I will be basically, I'm not sure exactly which days I'm going to be streaming next week. But I'm thinking about doing a Wednesday stream, which is my birthday. So I'm thinking like next week, once I get back, I'm going to take one rest day after Worlds, and then I go live on Wednesday, which is going to be my birthday, just for a short stream, like Worlds recap and all that. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. So yeah, for today, we're just going to talk about this and that. You know, a couple of things. We have like new cards. I have some React Andes prepared that people wanted me to look at. We have, of course, a Master Duel ban list that is huge and will change everything. So we're gonna talk about all those things today. It's gonna be chill. But for now, first things first, let us take a look at Dragon Gate, which was announced alongside both of the Molcharmies as reprints in the upcoming Megatins. So both Perulia and Fuvalos have been announced as reprints for the 2025 Mega Pack. Of course, everyone was assuming that they were going to be in there, but now we have confirmation, so that's good. But the more important news here is that we have another TCG exclusive for the Megatins, which could very well be the last one. I don't think we have official confirmation on that, but in previous years, the Tins had 3 new cards, and this is the 3rd one, right? We've already seen the Imperial Princess, or whatever it's called, the Dark Pyro support thingy for like Ascend. And then we've also seen the spell card that was Mimighoul support. And this is Dragon Gate, which I haven't read yet, so I don't know what it's supposed to support. It is an Earth Zombie XYZ, rank 6, requires 2 level 6s. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Dragon Gate by using a rank 3 or lower Xyz monster you control, transfer its materials. Cannot be used as material for an Xyz summon the turn it was Xyz summoned. I think it's very funny they have to put this on every Xyz that can use other Xyz as material to basically balance around Zeus. Because I think that's literally the only reason that's there. Once per turn, you can activate this effect. For the rest of this turn, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. Also, detach any number of materials from this card, and if you do, it gains 1,000 attack for each card type, monster, spell, or trap detached, and if it does, any monsters your opponent currently controls lose that much attack. Oh. Okay, two things. First of all, this is kind of good. Second of all, which TCG exclusive archetype is this meant to support? Like which, like with the spell card and the princess, it was very obvious what decks they were meant for. But what is this? What is this supposed to go in? Maybe Odeon, since one of the Apophis is level 6. Right, and you would be detaching, you'd have a way to put a trap card under it, so you can potentially get more mileage. Like if you manage to, because if you do manage to overlay a monster and a trap for this, you can detach 2 different monster card types, and then it would gain 2,000 attack, and everything on your opponent's side loses 2,000 attack. Realistically, like honestly, maybe it's meant to be Odeon support, but honestly, I feel like this just ends up being a more generically good card than the other two. I feel like, because I mean, realistically, this supports every deck that makes rank 1, 2, 3, or 6, right? It's meant to be Materiactor support. Right, Materiactor, because Materiactor has that gimmick where they can attach other cards to the monsters. They could get more mileage out of this card. I will say one thing. I feel like this is already a decent extra deck option, even if you have no way to attach a spell or a trap to it. Because I think as a going second option in your extra deck, a monster that's gonna have 2,100 attack can attack everything and reduces every opponent's monster by 1,000 attack is pretty good, because this basically kills everything in attack mode that has 3,000 or less, right? Like straight up, your board is gone. If all of your board has 3,000 or less attack and your opponent summons this, they're gonna shrink everything by 1,000 on your side. This one is going to go up to 2,100, and it can attack over everything, right? Which is honestly not bad. In terms of like board clear going second, it's kind of like the way I think about this card in terms of quality is like, this is obviously not a broken card. It is obviously not a super broken card, but it is a pretty good option for going second if your deck can make it, and if your deck has extra deck space. So in that regard, I feel like it's a little bit like Typhon, right? Where there's been this ongoing debate about Typhon on whether it's actually a good card or not, because so many games where Typhon is summoned, you still lose. I could see a world where it's the same with Dragon Gate. I feel like sometimes you would make Dragon Gate because your opponent has a big board, and it's not going to be enough because they like stop it or something else, but like, it's a very good board clear option, I think. Like, I think depending on the deck you're playing, this could be very, very good. And it's an extra deck card, right? So it's just a matter of, can your deck summon it, and can your deck afford the extra deck space for it? Because if it can, like if the answer to both of those questions is yes, then this is going to be a solid option, I think. Using a rank 3 or lower is a bit of an investment, though. I mean, first of all, that obviously depends on your deck, but I do think that part is actually kind of neat, because you get the initial push of your rank 1, 2, or 3 in your deck, right? Like you can summon, let's say, a rank 3 monster, use its effect, and then let's say your opponent imperms it. The ability to rank up onto that rank 3 and give it basically a second push is pretty neat, right? Like you make, I don't know, Goblin Biker Big Kabonga, right? And your opponent goes, I'll negate that with something, right? And you're like, okay, well, my Goblin Biker Big Gabonga has now forced out the Imperm. Let me make Dragon Gate on top of it and force another interaction or clear the board. I think that is a high value option to have. And that's the reason why I think it's good, is because it's in your extra deck. It's not going to take up, like, it's not a brick, it's not a card you have to draw. It's just an additional option that when you're going second in any rank 1, 2, 3, or even 6 deck, you just have that option on top of it now, right? So I think that's good. It's generic, so it's paleo support. It also is paleo support. Yeah, if you like, let's say your opponent has a big board because you didn't like clear it, you just Baboku to survive a turn, and then you make like a Opabinia, and then you search, and then you make this on top, and then you can detach monster and trap, and then you attack everything. It is paleo support. It is also paleo support. I don't know if paleo is the deck that benefits the most from it, but I just think this is a good card, period. I think it's a good card. I like this one. It goes in the same, I think it goes into the same category of card that Typhon is in, where just like a good generic extra deck option for going second that is going to make some games more winnable when you're going second. It's not going to win every game when you go second. It's not going to be completely insane most of the time, but sometimes when your opponent doesn't play around it, or when it catches them off guard, you might just clear an entire board. Does the restriction really hurt it that bad? I'm gonna be honest with you. I am glad that this restriction is on here, because genuinely I think this card is good enough the way it is. I think if you could also slap a Typhon on it after, maybe it would even be a little bit too powerful. Even though I think like making a going second option too powerful wouldn't be that big of a deal. But like, I genuinely don't think like you don't need to slap a Typhon on top of this for it to be a valuable card. It doesn't really matter because of Downerd, I assume. I mean, yeah, if you want to turn your rank 2 or 3 into a Zeus, there's other options you can do to make it a 4 material Zeus. I think what they don't want is for you to be able to make this attack everything and then still have like a maybe 3 or 4 material Zeus afterwards. Because at that point you would be clearing the board and still make it really hard for your opponent to come back later because you have more Zeus. I think if this card can successfully clear the entire board and then still serve as link material in main phase 2, I think that's still more than enough. Doesn't it detach all? It doesn't detach all, no. So the way I think it's gonna play out is probably you're gonna make a rank 1, 2, or 3, which is gonna have 2 materials. You're gonna detach one of those, which is gonna bring it down to 1 material. Then you make Dragon Gate, which would make it which will have the Dragon Gate have 2 materials, right? And so like if you you can detach any number of materials from this card, right? So like you don't have to detach all of them. You can detach just one. But yeah. No, good card. I mean, what do you think? Like, do you think it's... I think it's good. I think it's a decent option. I can't think of, like... I can't think of many meta decks at the moment that can use it. I think... I mean, Draco Tail doesn't. Vanquish Soul K9 doesn't. Yummy maybe could if they really wanted to, but I don't know if Yummy ever wants to do like a rank 1 into a Dragon Gate. But I think it's neat. I like it. And I am a fan of the concept here, right? As the same thing is true for Typhon. I think I was a big fan of the concept of Typhon, like just a generic extra deck monster that does nothing going first and just makes going second easier sometimes, not every time, because of course Typhon is sometimes on the weaker side. If you make it, you still lose because you can't summon anymore. but still, there's a decent amount of games that become playable because Typhon exists, and I think the same is true for Dragon Gate. And similar to Typhon, Dragon Gate is going to impact, if this card sees play, it's going to impact how people play the game, even if your opponent might not even play it. Like some games you have to play around Typhon being an option, even though you don't even know your opponent is playing it for sure. I think the same is true for Dragon Gate. You know, like maybe you because I think the ability to just like slap two monsters on top of each other, make a rank 1, 2, 3, use the effect, then make Dragon Gate on top and attack everything is pretty powerful. So yeah, that's pretty good, I think. When does the Mega Pack come out? Hold up. Yu-Gi-Oh! 2025 Mega Pack. It releases on my birthday, 3rd of September. It took me a moment to flip the thingies, because yeah. Dude, okay. I don't even know if we've talked about this before, but it's $23.99 per tin and $20.99 per bundle, which from my understanding is the exact same amount of packs. You just go without the tin, right? Like the bundle is like 3 mega packs in just like a paper thingy, and then the tin is also 3 mega packs but in a tin. Is it just me? Is it just me who feels like even if they were the same price, I would prefer no tin? Because, dude, I think the tin is I think the tin is kind of annoying. like whenever I've opened mega tins in the past, I was like, great, what do I do with those tins now? Like they're like weird. Some people like them. See, I would really like the tins, I think, if they had the right dimensions to actually store Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But they don't. Like when if and anyone who has a megatin in the knows this, like the tin that they don't actually fit the cards very well because they always flop around because there's like too much space. Anyways, a different topic. Apparently the megatin comes with dividers as well. Okay. The 2025 Mega Pack tin, the actual tin comes with 1 metal tin, giving a whole new meaning to the heart of the cards. 3 deck dividers showing off the cool art images depicted on the metal tin. Okay, so you get dividers. Sure. Dividers aren't bad. I like dividers, but I don't like the tins. But okay. Anyways, a different topic. How are we feeling about the mega tins this year, chat? So far, compared to last year? Because they also did announce SP Little Knight as a Starlight Rare, which I think is dope. It feels like I think I saw Jeff Jones tweet about this. It feels a little bit like they are trying to improve the megatins from last year by kind of giving them this like rarity collection type feel to them. Like it seems like they are like fusing the concept of megatin and rarity collection to make the tins a little bit better, right? Yeah. I don't know. These reprints again kill any collectability. That is, I think, a fair point, and I think that is something that Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I think that is one of Yu-Gi-Oh's problems at the moment, is like the collector's mark. Like, there's not that much like collectability in Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like we are really missing like the equivalent to full arts in Pokemon is what we're missing, I think. Personally. I personally, as someone who I don't consider myself a collector. I'm mostly a player. I always like when cool cards and playable cards get printed in fancy rarities. Like SP Little Knight in Starlight Rare is going to be awesome. I really want that. I don't have QCR SPs because I was not a fan of the QCR rarity. Also because I think it was very expensive. But like I'm looking forward to Starlight Rare SP, right? And so I like that it's getting reprinted as a Starlight. I think that's going to make the tins better. And just from a player perspective and like an affordability perspective in general, I think these kinds of reprints are good for the game because they make the product better without actually introducing cards into the game that you have to buy in order to play. Like you don't need a Starlight SP to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So you can just pick up one of the other versions that is going to be cheaper. And the product still benefits from this card existing, right? Yeah. They're pretty much the same. One has a stamp. I know Starlights are like silver and the QCRs are like gold in terms of like the lettering and the foiling and stuff like that. So I do think they're different. In theory, yes, but how long are collectors still willing to pay the price for the high rare repull? Yeah, I agree. Collectors are necessary for a game to function, I think. And that is, I think, one of the reasons why Pokemon, for example, as a game to play is so much more affordable is because Pokemon product is opened by a lot more collectors because there's collectible cards in there. I think there is a best to both worlds because I really don't think the QCRs were like the best case scenario in terms of collectability. I think there's better ways to make collectible cards than printing meta relevant staples in just a little bit fancier rarity. I think we need like something like, I think a good way to make collectible cards is like we need to explore more alt arts. We should explore full arts. And I think at the point where you make something like, let's say an SP Little Knight full art, that should be exclusive to one product. That should not be reprinted, right? Which I think is how Pokemon does it, right? Like if Pokemon has a super fancy alt art, like let's say I don't know, a recent example. Let me bring something up. I think there's like a super cool Mewtwo recently, like Team Rocket's Mewtwo. Where's the fancy one? I'm just checking on Card Market. Yeah, this one. This one, right? This is like giga expensive, as you can see, and it's a sick looking card. This will never be reprinted, right? These types of like, what is it called? Special illustration rare. They don't reprint this, right? If they were ever to reprint this sort of card just for playability, right? Because for playability, you can play. They're basically telling you, yeah, like you just play this one. Play the Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX regular version, but this one is 80 cents, right? And this one you can reprint to the ground because it doesn't matter. This is not what collectors are opening the packs for. Right? Like this is, if you just want to compete in Pokemon, this is the card you're going to play. This is the card you're going to look at. Or maybe, you know, there's other versions. Like you can also go for like a middle ground thingy, which is also not terribly expensive. Like if you want this one, like, you know, like this is like $10, right? If you want to have it like a little bit fancy, but you're not trying to play this, right? But like this version of the card, the super fancy chase card, is the one that's not being reprinted, right? Do Pokemon even reprint cards? I mean, to an extent, I think they do. But like in another way, like the quote unquote reprints in Pokemon are like, it's just a different environment because when the initial print of the card is already just like 80 cents because it's not the chase card of the set. I don't even know if this card is like playable, but like if the initial printing of the card is 80 cents, then what's the need for a reprint? But they do some reprints every once in a while. But like the point is, this card is carrying the product, right? This fancy looking Mewtwo, which looks sick, is the one that's carrying the weight of the product. This is the thing that's making people want to open the box. This is the card that people chase. This is partially the reason why cards like the regular version of this. This is actually a promo. This is not even from the pack. Let me use the one from the promo from the pack. This one. This is the reason why this thing is worth nothing. Because people are not opening the boxes for this. They're opening it for this, right? And so I think this is one reason why Pokemon is so cheap to play, is because there's more people, more collectors in the market who are opening the boxes to access these kind of cards, right? And this is basically Yu-Gi-Oh! I think is missing the equivalent of these kind of cards. Which I think arguably you could make the argument that quarter century secret rare SP Little Knight was never on this level to begin with, right? I don't think it was. I don't think you look at a QCR SP the same way you look at Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX special illustration. It's not the same, right? And I think one of the key things that are left to improve in Yu-Gi-Oh, because I think Yu-Gi-Oh for all intents and purposes, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is doing a lot of things right recently in this year, in terms of like card design and also like Justice Hunters. Like you can see like the pricing for Justice Hunters in terms of the cards is not bad. But like I think in order to get core sets back to like a good level where it's like back to like fun to open and stuff like that, we need chase cards that kind of resemble what this card is doing for Pokemon, right? I think that's what we need. And I think the closest thing we have at the moment in Yu-Gi-Oh is just alt arts. I think alt arts are really cool. I mean, this also technically is an alt art, right? It is an alt art version of this card, right? But like every Pokemon, everyone understands why this card is an upgrade over this card, right? Like that's 100% the case. Like this, if I just want to play Pokemon and I care about getting a cheap deck together, I'm just going to get the 80-cent copy of this. But if I'm a collector, there's 100% incentivized to upgrade to this. Like this looks sick, right? And so alt arts in Yu-Gi-Oh do work. You know, we've had alt arts in the past that definitely carried weight of boxes. Like I think, for example, the where is it? I'm trying to find rarity collection for Diabellstar. It's not of course it's not commanding Mewtwo EX special illustration rare kind of prices, but it still is one of the more expensive cards you can pull in rarity collection for. It might even be the most expensive one. Oh, Cartesia is actually more expensive now, and called by all the alt arts here, right? Cartesia, called by, here's the Diabellstar, dope ass Nibiru, all these, right? Like the top 4 chase cards in Rarity Collection 4 are all alt arts, and they are all completely optional, right? Like if you're just trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh, you don't have to care about these cards. These cards are expensive because people want them because they look cool, not because they need them to play. If you just want to play the game, you can pick up probably a 2-cent Cartesia, a 2-cent called by, a 2-cent Diabellstar, and maybe Nibiru is not 2 cent or whatever. But like you get what I'm saying, right? Oh, Ash is also an alt art here. Yeah, true. 5. The top 5 are Valor. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The top 7 cards are all alt arts from Rarity Collection 4, right? So this concept works in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I honestly I'm just like, I'm hoping that we can get this for core sets, because Pokemon does this in core sets. Like Pokemon has alt arts immediately, you know? They don't release the Mewtwo alone, like regular art Mewtwo, and then like 6 months later they're like, oh, people like Mewtwo, let me now release an alt art. I think these alt arts should be printed right away. You know, like there should have been this Diabell Star. Arguably, should have just been. Like think about it this way: Age of Overlord comes out, right? Age of Overlord comes out, and it has a regular Diabell Star as, I don't know whether it's still secret rare or ultra rare or whatever. But then this thing is the QCR version instead of the QCR being the same artwork, right? I think that would be dope. I think that would be very, very good because then you would have like a. I think that would be a better chase card than just QCR regular art Diabell Star. So, yeah, I don't know. But I think with where Yu-Gi-Oh is at right now, I think these reprints are needed to make these products better. And ultimately, Starlight Rare SP being in the Megatins is going to be a good thing for the players because it's going to soak up some value. It's going to make the product better to open, which if the product is better to open and more fun to open, then the cards are going to be more affordable. So it's a good thing. But I do agree that Yu-Gi-Oh does have at the moment like a lack of real collectible cards. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be, I think there needs to be more stuff that people are really excited to open packs for. Yeah. Period. I think that'd be dope. And I think the main way to do this is full art. Or alt arts. Because I mean, we know full arts can work. Because even though, I mean, one of the core arguments against full arts, I feel like, is that Yu-Gi-Oh cards require a decent amount of text on the card. But like, I feel like you could make a full art utilizing, like, you have a lot of space on Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you can still utilize without, like, you can just leave the text box alone. But there's so many other things you can like use to, you know, you got space. Just print the QR code. I mean, there is an argument. I saw a video. I saw a Ristic Studies video a while ago, which is a Magic content creator that I like to watch sometimes because I like the style of videos they make, even if I don't know that much about Magic. But they made a video about how some cards in Magic now, they don't even have text on it. Like, it was like, I don't know what the card was, but it was like such an iconic card that they just printed a full art version of it, and they just didn't put the effect on it because everyone knows what it does. Like, it's... And honestly, I think that would work in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it would work in Yu-Gi-Oh! Funnily enough, like, if you make a full art version of Infinite Impermanence, you probably wouldn't have a problem. Because everyone has Neuron anyways, you know? Like, what's the difference between your opponent putting, like, a full art Imperm on the table or, like, a Portuguese version of Imperm on the table? Because both are possible. Both are, like, the foreign cards are legal when you go to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Like, if your opponent has a card you can't read because it's in a different language, you have to pull out Neuron to translate it anyways. So, you know, it sucks for children. Yeah, but there's like 10 different versions of the card. And like, the card is going to be rare and a chase card. And does it really matter? Like, worst case, they ask, hey, what does this card do? And you tell them. I think it's just like not really an issue, right? What's the card called that I was referring to? Something you said like Cryptic Command? Or Lightning Bolt? Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt Magic Full Art. Yeah. Like, you're telling me if we had this... You're telling me if we had this kind of card, and it's just Raigeki, we have a problem? yes, this is a problem. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem. You can still just print the text box. It's not that big of an issue. You can, of course, I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying it's the only way you can do it. It does not look good to me. It doesn't have to look good to you. It doesn't have to look good to everyone. Like, it's just a matter. It would appeal to some people. It would be a collectible that some people would want. If you don't want it, even better. You don't have to spend the money for it. Other people will. Other people will spend the money on it, and that'll make other cards cheaper, and it'll make Yu-Gi-Oh! Better altogether. And the only thing that you have to, like, endure is that when your opponent activates this and it's Raigeki, you have to know what Raigeki does. And if you don't know what Raigeki does, you have to look it up in Neuron, which is something you already have to do if they're playing like a foreign version of the card, which is something that is also legal to do. I don't think there is really a negative to it. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to pick it up. That's the beauty with alt arts, is if you don't vibe with it, you don't have to use it. I think it's just like, the point I'm trying to make is, like, I'm not trying to say this is exactly what Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs to do. The point I'm trying to make is that other games are exploring ways to make cool collectible cards, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Hasn't really done most of these things, except for, let me print a different foiling pattern on the card. You know what I mean? Like, we have alt arts, and we have different foiling patterns. That's all we have. We have no extended art. We have no alt arts, like extended, like over the border alt arts. And even the type, like the amount of alt arts we have is very few. And we don't get them like right away. We get them only like a year later or 2 years later after a card is like, has proven it's relevant or something, right? Like the amount of relevant alt arts we have, like it's probably like 20, right? Which is like Magic and Pokemon and One Piece, they get more alt arts per set than we have like in total in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? That's the point I'm trying to make, right? It doesn't have to be exactly this or whatever, but like I think that's where Yu-Gi-Oh! Is lacking compared to other card games, is collectability, because the only things that are considered collectible in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is high rare versions of meta relevant cards. And the problem with high rare versions of meta relevant cards is that those are bound to be reprinted eventually, which hurts their collectability in the first place, right? Because QCR SP, everyone essentially knew when that came out that eventually they were going to print more SP Little Knights, and probably also in cool looking rarities, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there is like no clear high rarity version for SP anymore, right? Because the QCR SP Little Knight was never guaranteed to be the coolest SP forever, right? Like, yeah, basically that. Right? There's like, if a QCR comes out, or even a Starlight now, there's like no guarantee that that is the chase version of SP. Right? Like, this looks insanely good. Yeah, Rush Duel is doing it, which blows my mind. This is also Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. It's just Rush Duel. So, and this is basically this, but with a text box down here, pretty much, right? And we could have this. Caius. Oh my god, they have Caius now in Rush Duel. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've had this talk in the past. And I look, genuinely, I think this is what we're missing. I think this is the missing piece This is why some of the core sets, because at the moment, the quality of core sets, or like how fun it is to open a core set, how successful a core Yu-Gi-Oh set is just 100% tied to competitive viability, right? If the set doesn't have a bunch of meta relevant cards at high rarity, it's not going to be that successful in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And if it is successful, it's probably because it has a lot of high rarity chase cards that are relevant for the meta, which makes Yu-Gi-Oh more expensive to play, right? The solution is you have to print cards that are not required to play the game, but are still valuable and chase cards and nice to open. And the solution has to be alt arts in some way, shape, or form. Or like, because I think at this point, rarities like Starlight or QCR or Collector's Rare or Ultimate Rare, it doesn't mean that much in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore, because we've gotten so many, we have so many different rarities, and the rarities are used almost arbitrarily at this point, right? Like you have, for example, you look at a Starlight Rare, the range of the rarity of a Starlight Rare differs so much depending on where it's from, and you can't even tell that from the art, you know? Like a Starlight Rare could be from 2019, and it could be an Appaloosa, which was at a pull rate of like 1 in 2 cases back then, Starlight Rares, right? Or it could be from the 2025 Megatins, where you get 3 Starlight Rares per tin, right? Like this doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, they look nice, but like it's not, you know, you get what I'm saying, right? It's completely arbitrary, these rarities. A Starlight Rare does not always equal the same level of rarity, right? Because the Megatins come with 3 guaranteed Starlight Rares, whereas back in the day you pulled 1 in like 2 cases. So the rarities, I don't think this is solved by just like introducing another rarity that looks slightly different. Yeah. Before QCR, it felt crazy to see a Starlight. Now it's whatever. Yeah, it feels a little bit like they kind of understood this in like 2019. So they added Starlight Rares to the core sets as like a super special thing. And then they like, I don't know, something about the QCR thing I feel like just wasn't handled very well. Even though I am a fan of having like these fancier versions of cards that are like somewhat more realistic to pull, I just don't think it can be the only thing. You know what I mean? I feel like the ideal concept has 3 versions of the card, right? Like basically what I'm trying to say is like, I would like them to make a regular version of the card. Then I would like them to make a slightly more fancy version of the card, which is slightly harder to pull and slightly more chaseable than the basic version, right? And then I would like there to be like a super fancy one that is, it can be as rare as they want it to be, and that one should never be reprinted, right? Like that's the one that should be exclusive to the set. It should be it should look super fancy, alt art, extended art, whatever, you know, hard to find, make it worth chasing, actually, like opening the boxes for collectors because they know this card is freaking rare and hard to find. Freaking put numbers on it. I don't care, because it's not required to actually play the game. I don't freaking care. But like I think that's the ideal way to do it, is like have a basic version, an upgraded version for the people that want to invest a little bit but not go crazy, and then a very exclusive one. And the way I feel about QCRs and Starlights, it's at the moment those versions of the cards are like the middle thing, in my opinion, because they don't feel exclusive. They don't feel like high rare, like by far the best version of the card and it'll never change. You know what I mean? It feels like we have the basic printing, we have the slightly upgraded one, but we're missing the actual high rare. The actual collectible thing in Yu-Gi-Oh is just not there, right? And that's why I don't feel like that's why that's I don't feel like it's a bad thing that they're reprinting the Starlight Rare SP, because the QCR SP was never that exclusive high rare for me to begin with. I never interpreted it as that. And I think that is the problem. I think the problem is that we don't have this. Making lore anime might help as well if it takes off. Sure, yeah. I mean, having like this is just another avenue for them to go down. But for the most part, what they do with the lore anime is they make alt art versions of those cards. But for some reason, the alt arts at the moment are all locked in different products. They don't actually improve the main line of Yu-Gi-Oh product, which is the core sets, because they're all being thrown into other things. You know, like we got all the alt arts in Rarity Collection 4. Some of the new alt arts for like the Albaz lore, I think, are even in the structure deck and stuff like that. They're not putting anything into the core sets. And I think until anything about the core sets changes, I think that's just the major thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the core sets have to change something about this, right? Like the main product line has to be better, is how I feel about it. Like, yeah, the alt arts and Rarity Collection were awesome. And the Justice Hunters is an awesome set because it combines good new cards with good reprints and also has some fancy versions of the cards. Like, yeah, Justice Hunters is awesome. But like, we get way more core sets than we get deck building packs. We get way more core sets per year than we get Rarity Collections. So like the like, I don't know, 70% or whatever, or 60% or whatever it is of Yu-Gi-Oh's products are the ones that are not changing at the moment, which is weird, right? Well, yeah. We've rambled about this in the past. Maybe I should make a YouTube video about this, where I just like, because whenever it comes up on stream, I'm not really prepared. I haven't really like written down my thoughts in like a structured way to get my points across. Maybe I should do that at some point. Because I do think that is genuinely what's missing in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of the other things have been going well in 2025. I think like general card design, banlist philosophy in the TCG, reprinting policy has been getting a little bit more aggressive and a little bit quicker, which is good. Like there's a lot of stuff that's going right at the moment, but I think one last thing is like you got to get the collectors back in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think. Because if the collectors come back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Or like if the collectors are eating good, it's going to solve the problem of just Yu-Gi-Oh! Product not selling so well sometimes. And like as a result of like if a set sells poorly, the cards out of it are going to be more expensive, especially the ones that are needed to play. Because if the only valuable Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are the ones that people play with, then of course all of the value is going to go into those cards, right? Like then we're gonna see we're never gonna see an end to like $100 Molcharmi Fuvalos or something. But if maybe there was if maybe the set that had Molcharmi Fuvalos had like 2 versions of Fuvalos and then other chaseable alt arts of other cards, or maybe even of Fuva, maybe the basic version of Fuva wouldn't have been that expensive. Maybe. Oh yeah. Having a high rarity card banned kills it? Yes, but that is also something we could get away from, because do you really think the value of this card is tied to the card being legal in Pokemon? This thing. Do you think anyone, like, do you think the value of Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX Special Illustration Rare is at all tied to its playability, and it being legal in Pokemon. I don't think it is. I don't even think this is a good card. Because I've followed the Pokemon World Championship just a little bit when it happened, like last week or 2 weeks ago over the weekend. I was watching every now and then. And like, I do not think this card was played a single time. I think this card is not good at all. There's even like, what's the the Umbreon, the super expensive Umbreon. Hold up. Umbreon GX. This card is already rotated. Oh no, it's V-Star. Never mind, V-Star. Umbreon V. Oh, V Max, not V Star. I don't even know if this card is legal still. But people still open up Evolving Skies to get it. Because it looks insane. And this thing is like 4 digits. And it's rotated out of Pokemon like 2 years ago. Right? So they have found a way to not tie the value of cards always to their playability, is what I'm trying to say, right? Like there is a way to get the best of both worlds, right? There's a way to make cards that just look so good and are still, and I honestly, I don't think this has ever been reprinted. And I don't think they will, right? There's a Japanese version of it, which is also super expensive. That's been printed twice, but both seem to be pretty exclusive. The Japanese, no, this is Chinese, I think. Is it? One of them, this is Japanese, this might be Chinese. I'm not sure. Korean? I'm not sure. It's a different language than this one down here, for sure. Is it Chinese? Okay. So there's this in English, there's one printing for this Umbreon, and I don't think they will ever reprint it, and that's why it's exclusive. They can print the shit out of these other versions, as you can see, right? Like these other versions here, there's a bunch. There's a bunch of other versions. The basic version has been reprinted a couple times in case you want to play it. You know, no big deal. No one cares. But this one stays exclusive, right? The special illustration rare, and everyone knows this in Pokemon. I think if they reprinted this card in Pokemon tomorrow, I think people would lose their minds. I think that would probably cause like a disaster in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? In Pokemon, if they started reprinting special illustration rare in like a Pokemon Megatin, I think people would lose their freaking minds if they did that, right? Because people are chasing these cards to this day. And this is one of the reasons why Pokemon packs get more expensive over time as well, is because it's just like everyone wants their share of Umbreon VMAX and like, you know, well, yeah. Anyways, I digress, but it's okay, because if there's ever a day to digress, it's today, because we're just vibing, hanging out, and talking about different things, so that's okay. But yeah. TLDR, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is doing a lot of things right at the moment. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is very behind on collectability. And I think that's weird, because I feel like it's not even like a shot in the dark, because all the other TCGs are doing it and all of the other TCGs are succeeding with it, right? Like everyone knows that this concept works. Everyone knows that this is what people want, and everyone can clearly see that this is one of the main ways to make the game more affordable, right? Like the one of the main reasons why Pokemon is so cheap to play is because collectors are buying so much Pokemon product. And the same is true for One Piece, right? Like One Piece Alt Arts, they got crazy chase cards. They got crazy chase cards in One Piece that are soaking up a lot of the value. it makes the game more affordable for people to play, right? And that is there's clear proof out there that this stuff works, right? So I'm honestly a little baffled by just not having alt arts yet. And it's even crazier when you think about the fact that they did this for freaking Rush Duel. Like, why did they do it for Rush Duel? Why do they have this in Rush Duel? Why do they have this Caius? Why do they have it? It's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Like, why do we not have this? I don't know. And it's honestly, it's 100% like besides the point whether you actually like this Caius or not. Matter of fact is some people are going to like this Caius and they are going to buy it and they are going to chase it. And honestly, the cool thing about Yu-Gi-Oh at this point is actually that we have a history of over 25 years now at this point of cards that you could reprint in such a like fancy rarity as well, instead of just making them all platinum secret rares in a rarity collection. We could get alt arts or extended arts of some of the older cards as well, and it'd be sick. It doesn't always have to be new cards. It can also just be like, you know, a Caius, for example. I don't know. I'm waiting for that. I'm hoping they do that eventually. Have you seen the new OCG Alt Arts? Actually, good point. I did see that. But I think now that we are coming out of this exact discussion, looking at these is like, I don't know. It's weird because, like, I don't hate these. I genuinely don't hate these. But compared to what they could have been, like what we've just talked about for like 30 minutes or something, I just can't help but think like, I think they're fine. I think they're fine, but like, come on, man. We can do better than that, can't we? Like, yeah, I don't mind these. I really don't, but they're just nothing special at this point. Like, they are just, yeah, so bad. I don't think they're so bad. They are just nothing new. They're not like a crazy concept. They're not going to change any of the things that like I just talked about. So yeah. They just use some cheap Instagram filters. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think this is fine, but it's not what we need, basically. I think we need something more fancy than that. And I think we have reached a point where fancy, like we've reached a limit to the amount of fancy things you can do within this little square of a Yu-Gi-Oh image. And also just in terms of like foiling patterns. Like what no one is asking for another fancy foiling pattern. No one is asking for whatever, you know, we need something that that extends past the image. We need something that extends past this border of this little square of a Yu-Gi-Oh card. You know, we can't just put more like stripes in different colors over the card and call it a new fancy rarity. That's not what we need. Before a new foil, bring back Ghost Rare. I you know, I know a lot of people like ghost rares. I don't like ghost. I'm not a fan of ghost rares because I personally I think ghost rares are not very pretty. I think ghost like ghost. It's just like, what if you couldn't see the card? I have an idea for an alt art. We just erase it. we just get rid of it. Ghost rares are a psyop by Konami because they forgot to reveal their ink cartridges. You think it was just like a... dude, the thought of that is so funny to me. Imagine they had like a print run where they just like... someone made a mistake and everything came out without color. And it was like... they printed so many and they were like, dude, how do we fix this? If we have to throw this all out, it's going to be a huge mess and we're losing so much money. So and someone was like, hey, what if we tell them it's a new rarity? We tell them this was planned and we wanted such a funny thought, dude. Okay, let's move on. All right. Let's talk about the Master Duel ban list. That's going to fix Malice format once and for all. Okay. I will say, before I lose my mind completely at this ban list, to give them the benefit of the doubt, because I have ranted so much about Master Duel in recent history, and you will hear more from me about that soon. But like, this is not the ban list, right? Like this, there will be a ban list after Worlds. There always is. There will be a bigger list after Worlds. I'm pretty sure. This is just like the one they're throwing out there now for August. And then the September one is probably bigger, but still. I just thought this was funny because it goes in line so much with how I've been feeling about the general like philosophy in Master Duel, where it's just like there is so much stuff that is allowed to just run free in Master Duel that should not run free. I mean, I suppose it's a fair I guess you could expect them to release Gem Knight soon is the takeaway from this, which unironically is pretty scary for Master Duel because it's best of one, and best of one blind second, we've already experienced how terrifying that can be in Master Duel. So I think Brilliant Fusion to 3, ironically, the more important part for the Gem Knight deck, right? Like, I don't even... would the blind second Gem Knight deck play Block Dragon? I don't know if it would, but maybe. These are scary cards because they just go, most of the time, they go into combo slop. But funnily enough, I don't even feel that... like, I am past the point where I'm frustrated with Brilliant Fusion and Block Dragon to 3, because I'm gonna be honest with you, with the amount of unwillingness to actually address combo decks that they have shown in Master Duel, I think the reality is just that these are not something to complain about in Master Duel, because in Master Duel, they're gonna leave more broken stuff than this legal anyways. Like, there's no reason to complain about these cards when Malice exists at the power level as it exists currently. There's like nothing to complain about. Like, yes, I guess if you're gonna go down that route and you're gonna have all the combo slop legal, then like what is worse about like Adamantipator than like full power Malice or like the pendulum slop that people can play because everything is legal for that. And it's just like at this point, Master Duel is just the Wild West. They don't give a shit. And if you have to watch your opponent combo for 15 minutes going second, that's not a big deal to them. And so might as well throw in Brilliant Fusion and Block Dragon as well, because why are only the Electromite Andes allowed to combo or whatever, you know? Like it's just at this point, give them Brilliant Fusion and Block Dragon as well, sure. Because it's all fine and balanced because you can just activate Max C, right? Just activate Max C and you're fine. Anyways, we are going to do a lot of TCG content in the month of September, y'all. And that's what I have to say about this ban list. Is 3 Block Dragon optimal in any deck? I mean, I'm sure freaking Adamantipator plays 3 Block Dragon. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. At least, yeah. Dude, can you imagine the hell we would be in if they unlimited Labyrinth Stovey Torby and Labyrinth Chandelier? Could you imagine that? Because I think that would be horror. I could not imagine the world if Stovey Torby and Chandelier are at 3 in Master. Because imagine this, right? Imagine you're a Master Duel player and you open your Max C that you definitely want to be in the game. You open your Max C and your opponent goes, I'm gonna activate a furniture and set a trap card, and then you're not drawing any cards of Max C that turn. Horror. Actual horror. So yeah, no, those furnitures, put them to 1, I say. Put them to 1. Ban everything that doesn't make a 1-card Appaloosa. Get that out of here. Out of my game. If the card does not summon a 1-card Appo, we don't want it. We do not want it. The Max C has to draw 15 cards or end their turn immediately. Yeah, all right. I've been told I need to watch this. Funnily enough, a lot of people have told me in my Discord, hey, you need to react to this Milano deck profile. And I didn't know why. But then actually Milano just messaged me on Twitter and said, you have to react to this. I say your name in this video. Which feels like a cheap tactic to get me to react to a video. To just like, hey, you need to watch this. Your name is in this. I said your name, so you have to watch it. But it is going to work this time. Because I'm going to give Milano the benefit of the doubt. Because Milano makes some pretty funny videos, so I'm down. It is working. Yeah, I hate to admit it is working.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Duelist! Yeah, Duelist. I did it once again, Duelist. Top 4. Toronto Regionals with Vanquished Soul, K9. Guys, to be honest, I should have won today. I put the most amount of time. I'm calling out everybody in Toronto. If you think you're better than me, send me a message on Facebook. Guys, shout out.
Dude, send me a message on Facebook is so funny to me. I don't know. Do people still use Facebook? I haven't used Facebook in so long. Is that just me? I feel like in maybe it's a Germany thing, but here Facebook is regarded to as like a boomer thing. So I'm just wondering, is he serious about that, or I use it for Messenger? Okay, I have the Facebook Messenger, but I do message most of the time. It's just Americans that message me on Facebook, so maybe it's just more popular there.
To nobody, because I was the one who crafted on this deck list. I was the one who worked on it, guys. There's a few unique, it seems pretty standard on the surface, but I made some unique modifications that would really enhance my strategy to the next level. All right, let's get right into this. Get that shit out of the way, whatever. We got our playmats in our deck boxes. Konami, help us! What? All right, 3, 2, 1. We got 3 Vanquish Soul Razin. I feel like I'm Razin. Fire Dark, put you in the earth, boy.
Fire Dark put you. That's kind of fire, dude. Bro's got bars. Fire Dark put you in the earth. I like that.
Razin, my boy, absolute goat. We got triple mad love. These bitches offer me so much instant gratification, broski. They fucking love me, bro. Madlo bounces Lupus. Madlo bounces fucking Dormouse. Madlo bounces whoever the fuck he wants. Madlove is my goat. Absolute goat.
He doesn't bounce what he wants, actually. You have to bounce the one with the lowest defense. Nerd.
We got triple Holly Sui. You know how many times I drew Holly Sui today in turn 0? At least a couple times. It was pretty broken. We got triple Jiaolong. All right, this is where it's going to be a little different from some of you standard Flanders losers who are playing extra. That shit is ass. Anyways, we'll get into
Extra is pretty good in this deck. Don't let him fool you.
that. We got 1 Valius and 2 Borgir. So Borgir, guys, some people are playing 1 Borgir, but the problem is every dark in the game is actually shit. Like DD Crow, shit. Shifter, shit 50% of the time, 70% of the time. But Borgir is the next best dark, and the numbers make sense. You know what I'm saying? Gotta play your boy.
What is going on? Don't question it. Just enjoy the ride, okay?
Stink your soul. Your nose is mine. You fucking idiot. That thing on
Dude, they all say it with him.
your face. It's mine. And if I activate Stink Your Soul, then you can't stop it. Because I've already got your nose in my back pocket. Duelist, man. Stink Your Soul is one of those ultimate cards to claim your opponent's nostrils and immediately win the duel. Guys, Stake Your Soul, one of the most fun cards to play with, guys. Holy fuck, this deck is so much fun. Yu-Gi-Oh right now, peak. All right, we've got Pot of Prosperity, we got Rhoda, we've got Starred in the Trap.
Oh god.
This seems pretty standard Flanders, guys. It looks like a pretty standard Flanders, right? Right? Or so you would think. So you would think, you silly goose. We got triple Jittle Yang, and I got my follow you. If you ain't...
Okay, first of all, this is still pretty standard. But what did you call them?
Think, you silly goose. We got triple Jittle Yang, and I got my follow you. If you...
Why is this Jittle Yang? And this... What did he call them?
If you ain't fucking with the Jittle Yang and the follow you and the Jickle Yang...
What does that mean?
Then I don't follow you. Hear what I'm amming and gamming? Big goot. So we got the triple Jokul, guys. Jokul is the best card in this deck, and that's why we're playing 3 Case for K9. 3! Best card in the deck. It fixes every hand. You think Extravagance is a consistency card? No, it's a remove your ceiling card. It's a make your deck shitter card. It's a I have to start my turn with this card. Vanquish Soul wants to play with...
None of those arguments were actually arguments, but okay.
A lot of different cards you have. You want a 5 to 6 card
like the card is bad because you have to activate at the start of your main phase.
combo, your opponent going second. So let's finish off my K9 package. Once you bozos fucking throw in Case in your deck, 3 Case.
What's the reason to play extra Case instead of Chaotic Elements? I guess Case can search Izuna if you get hand trapped. But like, if you're just trying to search Jokul most of the time, you can just use the Chaotic Elements, and it's not. It's. Yeah, sure. I guess searching Izuna sometimes. I mean, I get where you're coming from here. Let me translate some of the craziness that's going on into an actual Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. K9 Vanquish Soul has consistency issues, which is why some people are choosing to play Pot of Extravagance again, and as a result, you have to cut some extra deck cards because Pot of Extravagance requires you to play multiples, and so that makes the K9 package less like potent. And it seems like Milano's approach to fix this is to play extra case for K9 instead of Pot of Extravagance, so you can keep your extra deck intact. And you just rely more on some of the K9 combos than always. Because sometimes you're just going to not draw access to Vanquish Soul with this deck that he's built. And I guess the argument is, well, then you just play like K9s more consistently, which is fine.
Idiots. We got
I still think Pot of Extravagance is a pretty good option, though.
triple Azuna, one Lupus.
But that wouldn't really go with the flow of the profile. You know, I actually do like the way this is being presented, because I would not have been a fan if he said a reasonable thing like, yeah, this is for, I'm leaning more into the K9 cards. Pot of Extravagance is also fine. It definitely, the narrative checks out with the way it's being presented.
You know what I'm saying? Zuma, we be zooming, and Loop-de-Loop, man, he puts in the work. Summoning Typhon, goated. You already know, guys. Lupus, Loop-de-Loop. For my non-engine, we're literally... Oh, and the quick play. For my non-engine, we're literally playing 3...
The quick play out of nowhere.
For my non-engine, we're literally... Oh, and the quick play. For my non-engine, we're literally playing 3 Ash and 3 Fualos. That's it. We're not trying to play fucking hand trap deck. Bro, go play Steven's Pearly deck. That shit has 20 of them. You're trying to play 12? Dude. Like, you need to be able to play your engine. This is a combo deck that can fall back to a mid-range deck once you get Fualos or Droll or Peruliad. So why are you trying to play hand traps in your deck? Once you hand trap your opponent 3 times, it's like, wait, I got 3 cards in my hand. Oh, wait, now all of a sudden I'm playing Yummy. Normal summon, trap hole, I lost. You're ass, bro. You're ass. What do you think you play X-Trap, man? Get the hell out of here, bro. Guys, I should have won today, by the way. Let me tell you about my loss. So both game 1 and 3, I drew double Izuna Lupus case in my opening hand. I keep...
You if that case was Pot of Extravagance.
1 case in pull side. I drew double Izuna Lupus case, both going second game 1 and game 3. Like, genuinely, I still almost cracked the full VSK9 board with that hand. Believe it or not. Almost cracked the whole board. If I had just a few more playables, but Case turned it on because I have access to my Joko. Turning on the rest of my hand is a combo deck, guys. It's like Thunder Dragon. You need 1 card for your other 4 bricks to be fucking cracked. Anyways, we're gonna move on. Got triple Rocka the Vanquisher. That's my rock. We got SP Little Guy, one of the true goats of Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, man. This guy really, like... Bro, one night I was just thinking about SP and a tear fell on my face. Like, it was just so beautiful, guys. What an amazing card. I pass on this on every end board, by the way. This is like I think it's one of the most important end board pieces in this deck, because you get to pretty much maneuver around the board and clear your field into breakers and stuff like that, clear stuff off the field. Guys, I was playing crazy today, guys. I might be one of the best players in Toronto right now. I might be the best, actually. So we've got a double Nash Knight, 2 Nash Knight, Nash Knight. One of the greats, man. What other rank 5 do you want to fucking make? Okay, other than Ripper. Ripper you want to make. But what other rank 5 you want to make? Fucking Valon?
This is awesome.
Don't get me started on Valon. Valon is a fucking book.
It's so funny. He's just making up arguments for the other side and then reacting super disappointed.
This guy sucks. Like, he literally eats your opponent's guy. Bro, that's like the equivalent of XYZ summoning Stake Your Soul, bro.
Did you suck off with that?
Wait, is he spinning?
How many people did I suck off with that? I can tell you, I sucked people 2 different times per duel, bro. Because the first time you make Nash Knight and you stack your 104 guy. You make Nash Knight and stack your 104 guy. Yo, you're super hungry, eh? Yo,
You're fucking hungry.
yo, I'm hungry for this.
You be blowing everybody, bro.
Why did he get called out like that? Wow, he's just trying to enjoy his dinner.
Nash Knight, we be eating. Okay, we're gonna pause there because we're not trying to cross the boundaries, guys. Gotta be YouTube Premium fucking membership to see that type of content. And then of course we're playing the Umbrella package, the Umbrella Horror, aka the Umbrella. When it rains, what do? You grab your fucking umbrella, boys. Umbrella does everything every XYZ in this deck wants to do. Pop a spell trap, negate a monster effect. You suck before that, so you're sucking, you're popping, and you're shitting, bro. It's like one Nash Knight equates to like infinity value. Like, why would you make a singular Valon when you could like make Nash Knight turn 1 and then on your opponent's turn make another Nash Knight, and you need to play a shitter to attach off of it? He's a shitter. I made him once, but he's a shitter. The Silent Honor Dark, he's a shitter. But you need to play him to have the second attach off the Nash Knight. Like, so you can suck, and then quadruple suck, or at least make the umbrella guy, and we're just sucking all day, guys.
Whole lot of sucks. Whole lot of sucks.
Whole lot of sucks.
Stealing your nose and a lot of sucking.
We're gonna leave it at that, guys. We're gonna leave it at that. All right, we've got Typhonius Maximus, absolute engine. This is a Vanquish Soul engine card, guys. Like, you need to use your Typhon in this format to bounce your set guys off of the freaking the Lollipop, no, excuse me, not the Filippo. I'm talking about the Cookie. You gotta bounce back your stuff up.
Who's Filippo? Wait, who?
Lollipop, no, excuse me, not the Filippo. I'm talking about the Cookie. You gotta bounce back your stuff off Typhon.
Lollipop is Filippo. Okay.
Like, he's an amazing, he's an extender in this deck. You literally do your stuff and then you drop your extender on top. What, you wanna extrav him away? Congratulations, you've lost the game because you also need these guys in your extra deck, Rox and Zeus. How do you break boards with engine, man? My deck keeps bricking. It's because you're not playing a consistent variation of your deck. It's because you're playing an ass variation. You're not playing these extra deck utility cards that are so damn important. So damn important. If you're not playing any of these cards, you're just ass. And I'm not even gonna look at your deck list. And then we've got Werewolf for your guy. And then we've got Chimera Tech, Mega Flea Dragon. I didn't make it once. I didn't summon it once. The only times I played against K9 Christian, the first guy, I just like kept Mulcharming him. Oopsie. And then the second guy, instead of an Infinity, it was Matt McRae. He made fucking the Chronomaly Vamana, and he's like, pass. I'm like, huh? Why? I'm like, what, you don't like Infinity? He's like, what, you didn't see my deck list? I'm not playing Infinity. I'm like, well, shucks. But the theory is that, like, my deck is an engine deck. Going second, I pretty much don't have non-engine other than my side deck and my Flawless Ash. So pretty much, like, I think you can beat the Yummy deck and the Dracotil deck no problem with 5 engine cards, 6 engine cards. But when you play against the Mirror and the Christian deck, you kind of want like a broken answer to their board so that your engine can actually deal with it. Because if you have this and you actually successfully summon it, you could break it with pure engine. So that's why I'm maining it. And yeah, the card that I replaced it for, I didn't even make once, which I will show you guys shortly in my side deck. Then we've got 3 Mulcharmy Perulia. Shout out to Big Don Du. Dante. Thank you, Dante. Yo, he was asking me, yo, how's the Perulias today? I'm like, oh, the Perulias? I drew it a couple times, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It resolved a few times, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mulcharmy, but I also play like a god. I genuinely think like I'm a top-rated Toronto duelist, right? I know I said that like 3 times, guys, but like I've been putting the grind like no other on Dueling Book and locals. You know, my Dueling Book rating is like 1450, which isn't crazy, but I think that's the best in the whole room here, if I'm not mistaken.
Where's your master class?
Where's my master class?
Your Excel spreadsheet.
Well, actually,
where's the spreadsheet?
Keep an eye on Trip Gaming's channel for the master class coming soon, actually. Genuinely, like, this is no joke.
Are you charging an arm and a leg?
Steven is playing a garbage variation, bro. What do you want me to tell him? He's like, yo, I played your deck and I bricked. I'm like, what's your list? He's like, I'm playing girl list, but I'm playing, instead of four bricks, I'm playing 4 starters. Okay, Steven. Oh, yeah.
Oh, not your deck.
No, he's not playing my deck. No, but he's talking about my archetype. I'm trolling. Whoa, wait. We don't Huge shout out to Steven, because Steven is one of my dueling inspirations. But when it comes to Vanquish Soul, guys, I think it's somewhere like this. I think I'm number 1, aka. So I got 3 Mulcharmy Perulia, 3 Droll Muck, bitch, which I hate this card, but like, honestly, in the mirror match, like, you gotta use another Mulcharmy style card because you're not gonna, your Ash Blossom, your other non-engine cards are just useless.
Did you ever have time with where the conflicting was?
Yeah, you did, and then you just choose to use one or the other, you know what I'm saying, based on what their actions are. If I'm drawing playable, if I don't have playable, of course I'll Mulcharmy first, but Droll was good today, you know what I'm saying, I drolled a couple mans.
Would you switch it for anything else?
No. I think that genuinely my deck list is so well-rounded that it's kind of hard to say like what I would change. And then we got 3 Phantasmos. You know, you need them for the freaking Yummy strategy.
Has he said any card name properly?
Phantasmo, he draws you cards and helps accelerate the non-targeting.
Why is it Phantasmo? Just out of principle.
Strategy, guys. You have to play very specifically against a deck like Yummy. It's you have to be very eloquent on how exactly every
Should
single
he?
motion.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just wondering.
And while dipping your foot in the pond, but not committing. So you gotta, like, you know, start with one monster, link it off for rock, not use the effect, and put another body, so they're not incentivized to book you. You gotta play really smart in this matchup. You know what I'm saying? Summon Jiaolong at the end, unflip your guy, Jokul at the end, like after you've been booked. You just need to play smart. You don't need hand traps. Like, yeah. Anyways, just play my list card for card and try to see if you're not winning. You might be just kind of ass. So we've got anti-spell.
If you're not winning with my list, you're ass.
Fragrance, called by Triple Tactics Talent. We got Dimension Shifter, Nibiru, and
We said that probably.
Dick Smasher. This card, I actually did not resolve it once. I did summon it once, but it was to make Zeus. I lost the game, guys. But Paradise, I think, like, unless you get like Molcharmi Fualos plus Perulia / like Drolled, then it makes sense. But
Bro,
otherwise,
Paradise Smasher is like, I haven't seen a card in a long time that people, when they summon it, are so defensive about it. Like, every time someone makes Paradise Smasher, they're like, yeah, but I would have won without it anyways. Or like someone at locals made it on the table next to me, and they told their opponent like 3 times, like, dude, I wouldn't even put this in my deck list, but I just, like, I borrowed the deck from my friend and it was in there. I don't, you know, I didn't really want to even play it. And then the opponent was just like, well, no one forced you to summon it right now. It's just like, everyone's like, oh, but don't worry. I never made it. And if I made it, it was on accident, and I only made Zeus with it, and I lost the game anyways.
like, almost never going for this card. I don't even want to give my opponent the 9% chance or 6% chance or whatever the fuck it is to whiff off the Paradise. I play absolutely safe. I play the one nib because, you know, you search it with your Perulias, your Phantasmes, and your Wallows. I don't think I drew it today. Shifter, I don't think I drew it today. Triple Tactical Talents, we side that in going first.
You have to understand, I had 3 level 5 monsters in my extra deck, and as I went through my extra deck, you know, the Paradise Smasher dropped on the table, and then the judge was seeing it, and they were like, yeah, you're committed to the summon now. I had to make it, you know, because I dropped it when I was going through my extra deck. I didn't mean to summon it, but the judge saw me drop it, and so they ran over and they were like, oh, you committed to that summon now, and that's what happened. That's what happened. I misclicked IRL.
Called by the Gravener, anti-skill fragrance. I have anti-skill fragrance, 1 person, and I won. Come on, man. Guys, you already know what it is. Milano, the true duelist. I don't fuck with you foolish duelists. Guys, I did it once again, but it wasn't the first place, and I'm a little upset about that, but I'm gonna hide it. Few shout-outs. Shout out to my crew. Shout out Assad and Adrian for gifting me the QCRs in my deck. Shout out to Dante for the Perulias. Shout out to the Toronto community, all my goats. Shout out all my homies.
Where was my name?
Homies around here. You guys are all goated too.
Was I lied to?
4th place Toronto, like, you know, next one's gonna be 1st place, guys. I think I did enough today to call it and eat a nice meal and first meal of the day. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But
We need food.
yeah, shit, duelist. That's it. I think that's it, man. Thank you guys for watching the channel. You know what I'm saying? Milano, the true duelist, guys. Subscribe, comment, and Joshua Schmidt. If you're watching this video, you have to say it once. Stake your soul. Your nose is mine.
Okay.
Once. Stake.
Okay, I'll say it with him. Hold up.
Subscribe, comment, and Joshua Schmidt. If you're watching this video, you have to say it once. Stake your soul.
Okay, I missed it. I'll say it with I'll miss my entry point. Stake your soul. Your nose is mine. There you go, Milano. Bang your deck profile once again. Jesus Christ. You know what's funny is, like, for all intents and purposes, this is a very standard K9 Vanquish Soul deck list. The only change in this entire thing is basically we've put 2 extra copies of Case for K9 instead of like some other non-engine that people play, right? It's like 2 extra Case for K9 and maybe the extra deck has like the double Nash Knight instead of the Valon, which is, you know, it's fine, but like it's still, you gotta admire, because I was hooked throughout the entire deck profile. I was following it like crazy. I didn't pay much attention, to be honest, to the list, but it's for sure more entertaining than if you just presented that deck normally and it was just like a standard Vanquish Soul K9 deck list with 2 extra Ks. Well, yeah, it was a banger. Oh man. Can we start calling Lolipo Filippo from now on? I mean, that's the thing. Even if you don't want to, with these kind of Milano deck profiles, some of these things just stick because you just can't help but think about it every time you see that card from now on. Like, if I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably heard the whole stake your soul, your nose is mine before. That's a Milano bit from like years ago when Vanquish Soul first came out. He made a Vanquish Soul deck profile where he said that, and that's where it's from. And people just use that for every time I see Stake Your Soul, I think of that. I don't know why he did that back in the day, but like it's stuck with me since today. Like every time I activate Stake Your Soul, I think of that. Years ago, it's not that old. Okay, 2023 is not years ago. Vanquish Soul is from 2023. I'm pretty sure that deck profile is from 2023. It is years ago at this point. You might not like it, but it is years ago. Okay. Oh man. Oh man, oh man. All right. I don't have many other things planned for the rest of the day. I have one more video prepared that we can react to, but for the most part, I think today's stream is probably going to be a little bit shorter because I have to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and I still have to pack my bags and everything. So today's stream is going to be a little shorter. But the last video I wanted to watch today was the Soda video. A lot of people have linked in my Discord, which is apparently a rant about Mold Charmies, which I think is still to this day a somewhat controversial topic in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is that some people really hate the Mold Charmies. Some people are under the or have the opinion that the Mold Charmies are completely fine. I personally think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I'm leaning towards Mold Charmies are okay. Personally, I think if anyone, I think it's fine to not like the Mold Charmies. I think if you are of the opinion that Mold Charmies are just like Maxi, there's a few ways you can basically tell me you don't really play Yu-Gi-Oh or understand that much about Yu-Gi-Oh. One way is to say Mold Charmies are just like Maxi. The other thing is saying like Called by the Grave should be at 3. Those kind of opinions, you know, like the kind of opinions where I'm like, okay, you know what, we will not agree on anything when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to hear the points because I've been enjoying SodaTCG videos a decent bit. I think this is one where I'll probably disagree for the most part, but yeah, I mean, let's see.
This is my video on why the Mold Charmies are bad card design. The Mold Charmies, which were released in 2024, are a series of monsters which were released with the idea of drawing you cards when you activate them on your opponent's turn when they special summon monsters from different zones. Mold Charmy Meow special summons whenever your opponent summons a monster from Banish or the Graveyard. Perulia summons a monster whenever your opponent would special summon a monster from their hand or normal summon a monster from their hand. And the most important one, Fulos, which gives you a card every time your opponent special summons a monster from their deck.
I have a first critique point, which is a major critique point. we've used 2 real life scans of the card, and then this one is a digital picture. I'm very bothered by that. Please fix.
Deck or extra deck. These cards were all printed after the banning of Maxi in the TCG, even though it's still legal online, and in the OCG, these cards sort of serve as a function to solve the problems that are present with Maxi. Notably, Maxi draws you a card whenever your opponent special summons a monster from anywhere, so all of these cards already have that restriction, but they also have additional restrictions where they cannot be activated if you control any cards, and they also only give you up to a maximum of 6 cards, in addition to the number of monsters and cards your opponent has in play.
That restriction, unironically, is an absolute joke. I feel like they should have just left that. If they left it off, I think it would have just been the same result, but nothing to make fun of.
At the end of their turn. And whilst it seems like they sidestepped a lot of the different problems with Maxi on these Molcharmy cards, I'm here to talk about the reason why they are still horribly designed and a card that really doesn't belong in the game. Now, obviously, they're better.
I'm willing. Here's the thing. I'll probably disagree, but I'm willing to hear these arguments because I do think some arguments against the Charmies are valid.
Designed than Maxi. I don't think anyone would argue that Maxi obviously needs to get banned in Master Duel and is a card that is definitely ruining the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anytime.
Funnily enough, people do argue about this. There's a lot of people who argue about Maxi.
It is legal.
Which is
cards
crazy.
like Maxi and Vanity's Emptiness here cause tons of non-games because of their power not only on the play, but also on the draw. If you have a card like Maxi in your opening hand, you can use it against your opponent to stop them from playing on their turn, but you can also use it if you are going first to help stop your opponent from breaking your board by disincentivizing them from special summoning, very similar to the banned card Vanity's Emptiness. The Molcharmies intelligently don't let you activate them if you already have a board, meaning that you can't lock your opponent out after you've already set up, and they also are not catch-alls, meaning that they don't stop literally any type of deck that wants a special summon, i.e. every single deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Molcharmies also notably have the shuffle effect, which means that if you have to play into the Molcharmy, at least your opponent will only get an optimally sculpted hand and not be forced to start their turn with a massive grip of like 10 or 11 cards.
It's so you don't get decked out. No, actually, you still get decked out under a Charmy if your opponent can actually pull it off, because all it takes is 1 extra special summon. Like, all they have to do, instead of passing and forcing you to draw a card in your draw phase, is they just have to summon 1 more time from, let's say, the extra deck for Fuva, and then you would still deck out on your opponent's turn from that draw.
It's basically meaning that you will always guaranteed lose. Not to mention that much like Maxi, these cards are still very beatable and have lots of hard counters like Ash or Droll that you can use against them to stop your opponent from getting a huge card advantage on you when you activate your Charmy's effects. But just because all of these different things that avoid the Maxi problem are present doesn't mean that Molcharmies don't do still the core thing that is the issue, which is that they still draw a lot of cards on your opponent's turn. Much like Maxi, they are both completely generic and draw you a ton of cards, meaning that shucking a Fulos into your deck, if it is really
okay, I was on board like until 10 seconds ago when you said just because the cards are better designed than Maxi does not necessarily mean they're good design, which is true. Only because a card is healthier than Maxi does not necessarily make it healthy per se. However, I don't like how we are already making some assumptions that are just straight up not true. Because we just said like, oh, Molcharmies draw you a ton of cards, period. This is not the case. They are far more, there's far more to the Charmies than that. There is the fact that like a lot of the times they won't draw you a ton of cards because they are making, the decks have actual plays under the Molcharmies, depending on the deck, of course, but there's a lot of decks that actually make boards under Molcharmies in like 1, 2, or 3 draws max. Some decks, that's the problem. That's actually not the problem, Speedy. The problem is not that popular Yu-Gi-Oh cards are better against some decks than others. This is always the case. It is always the case that some decks suffer more from certain cards that are popular. It's like, yes, some decks really suffer from the existence of Nibiru, the Primal Being, and if you're playing the Salamangreat deck, then you're gonna have a tough time. But this is always how Yu-Gi-Oh metas develop, and how metas in card game in general develop, is because a lot of generic cards are better against some decks than others. That's one reason to say Nibiru is bad design. What? Because it's good against some decks? Is Nib is bad because it's good against certain decks? I mean, okay, sure, maybe that's an argument, but I don't think it's a very strong argument. I think basically what Nibiru has done, let's use Nibiru as an example, okay? Nibiru, it can be a blowout card against some decks, but for the most part, Nibiru has changed the competitive landscape in Yu-Gi-Oh! Into a better direction, because every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck now has to be worried about it, because Nibiru is popular enough to the point where it's an actual skill check to be able to maneuver around Nibiru, and it actually makes people like not go for like crazy combos sometimes because they want to play Nib safe and all that kind of stuff. And it has made Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole healthier. And so if we get a card that makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Healthier in the long run at the sacrifice of a couple of decks that were designed before Nibiru, I think that's fine. I think that is unfortunately something that you have to live with, that some decks will age poorly because there's cards that come out that are just good against it. That per se is not a reason why Nibiru is poorly designed. But yes, you are right that some decks suffer more from Nibiru than others. I just don't think that just makes Nibiru badly designed. And the same is true for Charmies. I think if Charmies do something positive for Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole, I think some decks that suffer from Charmies are like, let's say, a sacrifice that we make in order to make the game better in the long run. And I think, arguably with the Charmies and Nibiru, it's a similar thing where most of the decks that really suffer from them deserve to suffer from them. Because a lot of the decks that really get owned if you activate a Molcharmi Fuvalos, let's be real, were planning to do way more than they should be doing. And the only, like, one of the few examples that isn't true for this is like Salamangrate, because Salamangrate is like, okay, I special summon a lot from extra deck without doing that much. So like Salad is the one unfortunate like sacrifice, but most other decks that really get destroyed by Nib or Fuva probably deserve to get destroyed by Nib or Fuva. Unchained, look, the Unchained Fiendsmith board is very much unbreakable. Like most decks that lose to Fuva make unbreakable shit these days and shouldn't be making it. What do you mean? My Fiendsmith White Forest Millennium Azamina Snake Eye deck is really cool and should be allowed to end on 23,819 interactions? Exactly, that's my point.
Good in the metagame right now is kind of a no-brainer in almost every scenario. A card like Triple's Tactics Talent both draws you a good amount of cards and also has many other options that you can use it for. It has a similar number of restrictions to the Molcharmi, meaning that it is not very good if you are on the play, similar to how Molcharmis are only good if you're on the draw. Triple Tactics Talent is only really usable half the time, and the card still sees way less play, even though it is generic, because the amount of draw power that the Molcharmis give you is so much higher. Kind of a no-brainer in almost every scenario. Shocking, much like Maxi, they are both completely generic and draw you a ton of cards, meaning that shucking a Fulos into your deck, if it is really good in the metagame right now, is kind of a no-brainer in almost every scenario. A card like Triple's Tactics Talent both draws you a good amount of cards and also has many other options that you can use it for. It has a similar number of restrictions to the Molcharmi, meaning that it is not very good if you are on the play, similar to how Molcharmis are only good if you're on the draw. Triple Tactics Talent is only really usable half the time, and the card still sees way less play, even though it is generic, because the amount of draw power that the Molcharmis give you is so much higher.
Huh? Okay. Talents. Okay, Talents, first of all, is a very weird comparison to Molcharmis, because Talents was one of the most complained about Yu-Gi-Oh cards for a long time because of how busted it is going first. So saying like, similar to Molcharmis, Talents is not useful when you're going first and only good going second is already super weird. But the funny thing is that by far the worst effect on talents is the effect to draw. Like, whenever my opponent activates talents, I am giga happy if they're drawing because they're not hand looping my shit. And that was by far the most toxic effect of talents, was go first, get hand trapped once, talents look at their hand, take away like whatever the best card is, and keep comboing and win the game off of like your combo and hand knowledge and one less card for your opponent. So talents was by far the most toxic card when you're going first, like together with like Called By and Crossout. And going second talents is like going second talents is pretty cool in terms of its stuff, but like no one ever compares Fuva and talents with each other because of their drawing potential. Like most of the time when you use talents going second, you use it to take, and most of the time when you use talents going first, you use it to look at their hand, which that part is the one that people complained about. So I think we just don't like, they just don't understand how talents was used really, and making a comparison just because it says draw 2 cards. I don't know. So the argument of the Molcharmy, by the way, this feels like they're making this video after they have gotten Molcharmy Fuvalos and just went full combo anyways, right? Which I agree, if you just ignore the existence of Molcharmy Fuvalos and just play a combo deck and your opponent activates Fuvalos and you just pull through, yeah, the Fuvalos is going to feel bad for you. Yeah, you're going to lose to that. You're supposed to lose to that. That's what it's supposed to do. But the reason why it's considered healthy a lot of the time, of course, this is depending on the deck and depending on the format, but the idea behind the card is that you're trying to make a less oppressive board without giving your opponent 20 cards. Which a lot of modern Yu-Gi-Oh decks are very capable of at the moment. If you get hit with a Molcharmy Fuvalos, let's think of some of the decks that people have been playing recently. Malice and Ryziel from Crossover Breakers are both very capable in making boards that are pretty powerful under a Molcharmy Fuvalos in 1 or 2 special summons from the extra deck. And no, most of the time, these boards are not losing boards. These boards just mean you're playing actual Yu-Gi-Oh with your opponent. If you are losing every time after you make a Malice half board, you should probably look at how you're playing your Malice deck and why you're losing after making a Malice half board. The Malice half board under Fuva is very powerful. The Ryziel half board under Fuvalos is very powerful. The Vanquish Soul half board under Fuvalos is very powerful. Yami and Draco Tail can still play under Fuvalos pretty well. Fuvalos basically just forces you to not make an auto-win board. And that interaction is so much healthier than using cards like Imperm Ash Effect Veiler to just hope your opponent can't play at all. Basically what Fuva says is, yes, you can play a little bit, I'm not actually stopping you from anything, but the more you do, the more cards I'm going to have, so you're going to have to find a middle ground. And if I agree, if decks didn't have any middle ground into Fuva, the card feels pretty toxic. If there's a format where no deck has like a reasonable middle ground to make under Fuva, then it's going to be pretty bad. This is what happens with Maxi, right? Maxi is so good and draws so many cards that it's simply not possible to make a half board under Maxi, because everything you do, your opponent is suddenly going to have an extra card for. So even if you try to summon like 2 monsters and then make like a link or something, your opponent is going to have like 3 extra cards or some shit. Which is way too much. Basically, the punishment is not... the punishment for extra summons with Maxi is too high. And the punishment with the Charmies is smaller, because they're not going to draw for every single summon. They're not going to draw with Fuvalos. They're not drawing for your normal summon. They're not drawing for any special summons from hand. And I do agree, Fuvalos is the most powerful one, especially against some decks that try to special summon from deck and try to link climb a little bit. Those decks have a harder time under Molcharmy Fuvalos to create like a half board. But it is just a matter of fact, I've said this a couple of times, in recent Yu-Gi-Oh formats, the best Yu-Gi-Oh games are being played when a half board is being made. The worst Yu-Gi-Oh games are the one where a combo deck just goes full combo and there's no competition for the player going second, or the player going second just hand traps the opponent to death to the point where they can't even do anything. Those are the worst types of games in Yu-Gi-Oh. And so I think we should promote cards that promote half boards, because half board Yu-Gi-Oh is very fun Yu-Gi-Oh, and Molcharmies do that. Molcharmies do that because they allow you to basically slow your opponent down without actually stopping them from doing anything important. And they also don't just like reduce your resources like crazy. Like nothing feels worse than if you imperm Veiler Ghost Ogre someone and they still end on like a sizable board because cards are designed to play around these cards now. And then you have 3 cards available to beat whatever it is. And so Molcharmies do this a lot of the time. I will say I think Molcharmy Fuvalos is the closest to Max C while still being pretty far away. But I think like Perulia and Meowls I think is crazy to complain about. I think Fuva for certain formats does feel sometimes a little bit too powerful.
At least the Molcharmies are somewhat interesting to play against. When you play against a Maxi, there's really no option other than to just play into it and hope your opponent doesn't draw ways to out your board after the fact or have one of the hard counters in your opening hand when your opponent Maxis. When your opponent activates a card like Fuvalos against you, it is still possible for you to build a board without special summoning from your extra deck or your normal deck with any meaningful amount while still building a board that is respectable for your opponent to fight against, meaning that you aren't just
this is like, once again, this is super dependent on the deck. And the format, I will say, I think in recent formats, basically ever since Fuvalos has come out, all of, like when we're talking competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, like all of the decks that were considered good Yu-Gi-Oh decks, everything had ways to play around Fuva. Like we're talking Malice, we're talking Ryziel, we're talking, what's it called? We're talking Memento, we're talking all the Justice Hunters decks. Like all these decks that they've made basically make solid half boards under Charmies. Mitsurugi stuff, yeah. Even Crystron was fine. Yeah, it's like, of course, if they make a deck, Blue Eyes, if they make a deck that goes all out special summoning from deck a million times, and that gets hit with Fuva, like you're gonna feel bad. But yeah, I don't know. I think the arguments here are a little
screwed if your opponent activates a Fuvalos against you in certain matchups. That's interesting for your opponent though, but for you, I would say the Molcharmies are still super boring to play just like Maxi. The only thing you do when you play down the Molcharmy is you just activate it at the point in your opponent's combo when you think they're gonna fulfill one of the requirements of the Charmy you have.
Yes.
Other hand traps like Nibiru or Infinite Impermanence have actual interesting gameplay for for both you and your opponent. Because you have options for when to activate these at any point during the combo, you can save it for a key moment to disrupt your opponent, or you can hold onto your Nibiru for a really long time until you slam it.
Okay, so that point is, I guess, true. I just don't think it's very relevant. Like, yes, Molcharmy Fuvalos, you are incentivized to use it as early as possible when you think it makes sense. When you think they are about to go and summon from deck or extra deck, you're going to use the Charmy, and then it's going to linger around for the rest of the turn. That is true. Because it's a lingering card, it does not have this sort of like, you have to find the perfect spot for it to it. This is true. However, that's also, I just don't think that's boring, because the interesting part about the Fuva is what happens after. Because your opponent having to find an alternative line under Fuva and like, or know how to play against it and make like a less broken board results in a more interesting game afterwards. That's the point, right? Like, yes, you're not going to have to think hard about when to use the Fuva, but the game that happens after is still going to be way more enjoyable than it was if you didn't have the Fuva. Because I honestly, I think there's no way right now we're arguing like Imperm is more interesting to play than Fuva. Because the way modern Yu-Gi-Oh decks work, most of the time, you just Imperm the first thing they do, and then you're super frustrated if they can keep playing. I think the gameplay of Imperm in modern, like think of Imperm in Snake Eye format. Like, was that interesting? Was it interesting to activate Imperm on Snake Eye Ash and then watch them full combo after they summon the Bellstar after? I don't know, man.
Down right before they have their negation, getting as many things off the board as possible. For Foolos, there's really no meaningful interaction on that level.
That's not Imperm's fault. Dude, Imperm is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. There's no point in putting any fault on Imperm. Imperm is a piece of paper. But this is how modern Yu-Gi-Oh work. These cards are outdated, is what I'm trying to say. The stuff like Valor Imperm, they're still usable cards and people still play them, but like the concept of shoving 20 hand traps in your deck is not something that we want. It's not the gameplay that is exciting about Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not exciting to Imperm your opponent twice and then they just pass because they can't play, and then you just kill them because they haven't done anything. The gameplay that happens after Molcharmies is way more interesting than the gameplay that happens after Imperm. And that's the type of gameplay I want to play, and that's why I think Charmies are fine.
Because you're just going to activate it as soon as possible to not only try to get as many cards as possible, but also just stop your opponent from special summoning as much as possible. Whilst the Molcharmies did solve the front half of the problem where your opponent doesn't have anything to do against the Charmies, they didn't solve your half of the problem where by putting it into your deck, you're basically just putting a dud into your deck half the time, and the other half of the time, the card just blanks your opponent or does literally nothing. It really has no middle ground for you to do anything as a player other than...
The middle ground is like 90% of it. Like, it doesn't blank your opponent. This is just not... You haven't played a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck ever, I feel like, since these cards came out.
Then just activate it when you're going second. The Molcharmies were also pretty clearly designed to be cards that are supposed to be a metagame call. Do I put a different Meowls in my deck, or do I put a Foolos? How many am I supposed to put in? What different decks do I think I'm going to be playing against where I want to activate these cards to get extra value? After all, being able to draw multiple cards is a really, really huge benefit in Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially if you can do it on your opponent's turn, giving you options to draw into additional hand traps and disruptions to stop your opponent on their first turn of the game. But thanks to most Link monsters and almost every strategy being focused on special summoning monsters from the extra deck, which is the only way you can get monsters out of your extra deck that are key to your archetype, it is pretty dominant to have Foolos in literally every single deck that is present in the TCG, OCG, and online metagames.
Yeah, it's a good card. That does not make it bad design. Popular does not mean bad.
This leads to a situation where there are interesting scenarios where you might put Meowls or the Perulia in your deck. There is really no scenario where you shouldn't just include free Foolos in your deck unless special summoning from the extra deck or the deck become really, really irrelevant. This leads to Foolos still causing the basic max C feelings when that is activated against you from your opponent. A card that is activated that shuts down a significant portion of your strategy that you really can't do very much about unless you have a hard counter in your hand at the time of activation. Because you only need to get one card back to get value out of your Foolos, as you will draw one card to replace the Foolos, and then will have that effect floating on your opponent, stopping them from wanting to special summon monsters from their deck or extra deck for the rest of the turn. There's really no reason not to include a card like Foolos in your deck for when you go second, unless you are not planning on playing against any decks that special summon monsters from that specific zone at all. A card like Pot of Prosperity only gives you one card. It does give you some card selection, but has a bunch of huge costs associated with it, not allowing you to draw extra cards, banishing cards in your extra deck, etc. And the Foolos and Molcharmy cards in general let you draw way more cards than a card like Pot of Prosperity, give you way more options as long as you are going second and can meaningfully activate them. And this leads me to one of the cards that I think is the most significant for showing how these cards are badly designed, and it's the card Cross Out Designator. Cross Out Designator is used when your opponent activates a card that is...
You know what's funny? It's because Cross Out Designator is a horribly designed card. Cross Out Designator is one of the least interesting and most toxic cards they've made in a long time. So I think using Cross Out Designator as a reasoning as to why the Charmies are badly designed is very funny to me.
Already in your deck, you can banish the card from your deck to stop your opponent from using the card that they've activated. It's currently legal at 1 in all the formats, meaning it is meaningfully restricted because a lot of decks would want to play multiple copies of this card. The idea is a card like Crossout Designator is meant to punish homogeneous deck building, i.e. putting cards in your deck that you think your opponent is going to have in their deck, cards that would go in any deck because of their high power level. The problem is a card like Molcharmy Foolos is seen as such a powerful card that you have to have it in your deck. It's a must-have, so you need to punish other players who are special summoning cards from their main deck or extra deck. Because this card has no meaningful restrictions on it and targets the best decks in the metagame basically all the time, it is a generic option that goes into almost literally every single deck in the TCG and the OCG, meaning that every deck can just simply play Crossout Designator if they want an extra negate in their deck to stop Fuloses. Crossout Designator for me is a real bellwether of the card game in general. If all the decks are playing the exact same cards, Crossout Designator, which is a card that doesn't look like it really does that much, becomes a card that you want to play meaningfully in a lot of decks. And the fact that it is at a 1 in a lot of the card games really shows to me that a lot of the cards in the game are simply too powerful and are played in every deck because of their generic power level.
No! Crossout is the one that's busted. Huh?
It's pretty clear to me, at least I think, that the Molcharmies needed some form of restriction on them, something stopping you from just putting them in literally any deck if they're the best.
There's nothing wrong with generic staples being popular, dude. That's always the case in every card game.
Best card to play in the metagame. Perhaps they could have put a lock on types on a turn after you play down a Molcharmy against your opponent, something similar to Spirit with Eyes of Blue, which locks you out of any.
I actually think Edison format is a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh format because they all play Bottomless Trap Hole and Heavy Storm and Deep Prison. I think they should probably get rid of trap cards because everyone plays Heavy Storm in Edison format. I think that's not right. You know, like I just hate, like, you know, you build an Edison deck. It's so boring. Because, like, your deck building, it just always starts with, like, 2 Deep Prison, 2 Bottomless, Mirror Force, Torrential Judgment, Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon. I just can't do it anymore. It's so boring. It's so boring. Brain control in every deck, bro, because you just take your opponent's monsters. Oh, it's so boring.
Non-dragon monsters while it's in play.
Yeah, Bottomless Trap Hole is toxic.
Perhaps there could be a lock on special summons.
Jesus Christ.
Either in amount or in what you are allowed to special summon during the turn after you activate the Molcharmy.
This is like one of the worst arguments when it comes to game design. It's like, oh, this card is good and a lot of people are playing it, therefore deck building is now boring. And like, oh, decks are playing a lot of not, like, bro, these decks, every period of Yu-Gi-Oh, you play the strong cards for your archetype that you've chosen to play, and you mix it with the strongest generic cards. This is how you build a Yu-Gi-Oh deck ever. You always play your engine, and you always play the good non-engine that exists. Whether it's 2005, whether it's 2010, whether it's 2015, 2020, or 2025. It does not matter. It does not matter.
Something similar to the new Yummy Snatchy, which doesn't allow you to summon any higher than Link 3 monsters. Basically, I think this is true for most cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, but there has to be something involved that makes it not just a free roll in your deck if it's super powerful, especially a card that doesn't have any other overlying effects like the Molcharmies, which are easily playable in any single deck.
So 95% playing Maxi is good, right? You are intentionally like twisting the words I'm saying, and you are just like, it's disgusting, actually. What I'm saying is it's just a non-argument. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying you just can't use it as an argument. You just can't use it. A card can be played by everyone and be good design, and a card can be played by everyone and be terrible design. It just means nothing. It just means nothing.
A little aside here, this is sometimes called the Queen's problem, which is the idea that if you were playing chess and were allowed to pick all the pieces, what would be the reason for you to not literally have all of your pieces be replaced by the most powerful piece, the Queen? By having super powerful, generically enabled cards, they fall into one of 2 categories. A card that you will have to absolutely play in the metagame because it is generic and can fit into any deck easily, unless that deck has some sort of specific restriction stopping you from doing something like activating monster abilities on your opponent's turn. Or they will simply be unplayable and not be thought about at all because they are so generic that they become too weak to see play.
Yeah, I'm playing, my deck is 40 Fuvalos, guys. My deck is 40 Fuvas. It's now the best deck in chess.
In the game. Konami, in removing Back C and trying to make a new card to fill its slot, has ended up right back at Max C again. If you have a card that is seeing 3 of play in every single deck, is mandatory to use.
That's not the reason why Maxi was toxic. The reason why Maxi was toxic is not because everyone played it. This is the wrong, like, you're thinking about it the wrong way. Heh?
and is simply doing the same thing, drawing cards on your opponent's turn when they special summon, it doesn't really feel like you've done anything other than nerf Maxi a little bit to be less powerful, rather than actually ban it outright and implement new ways to play the game that aren't so powerful.
No.
I feel in general, Yu-Gi-Oh! Should try to explore new design space, a space where you don't have to put a 3 of card into your deck every single time, that is super powerful, mandatory to play, and something that you can absolutely expect to cross out Designator if you want. So how would you guys go about fixing the Mulcharmies? Maybe you can...
I think you should just play Yu-Gi-Oh! I think that'll fix it for you. I think if you played Yu-Gi-Oh! It'd be fine. Just go and play it. I think you'll like it, actually. Oh, man. Dude, I hate when they print cards and then people play them. That's actually, this is my least favorite part about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is when they make a card and then people freaking have the audacity to put 3 of it in their decks. Read the comments. Ah, dude. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. I think it's right. It's gonna be rage bait. No. I like, the thing is, genuinely, I've been enjoying SodaTCG's videos when it was more like about like the, let's say on a more basic level, like an overview about different card games and comparing different card games. I genuinely just feel like this video, it just screams you're not deep enough into Yu-Gi-Oh! To fully grasp how the Mulcharmies work. Like, I think, because the thing is, I feel like there are things you could say about Mulcharmies that actually are negatives. I think there are things that are not perfect design about the Mulcharmies. Like, I think Mulcharmies are a decent attempt at slowing down going first in Yu-Gi-Oh! Without helping you at all when you go first yourself, when you play the Charmies. And I think especially Fuvalos, depending on the deck and the format, can feel a little bit limiting. Not quite like Maxi, but similar. Like if you play a deck like, I don't know, let's use Unchained as an example. The problem is all of these examples are decks that were designed before the Mulcharmies, which is all. This is the same thing with Nibiru, decks that were designed before these cards were game defining. Yeah, they're gonna perform worse into it because they were designed without those cards in mind, right? But like a lot of the decks that were designed after Mulcharmies are actually pretty fine into them because they have ways to like summon from hand or reach an end board in less special summons, which is something that is good. You know, a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh decks that came after Mulcharmy Fuvalos are a step in the right direction when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the things that people complained about the most with Yu-Gi-Oh is the spamming of like the player going first, the crazy end boards that decks made, the crazy combo potential, the link climbing, the synchro climbing, whatever, so on and so forth. And I think Mulcharmies were a good step in the right direction. I understand the frustration if one of your favorite decks was Unchained, similar to one of my favorite decks in 2019 was Salamangreat, and I just get blown out every time I try to play that deck by Nibiru. It's just not a deck that is still like good, but like Yu-Gi-Oh, this is the thing, Yu-Gi-Oh decks become outdated for a variety of reasons. You know, like if my favorite deck from 2015 was Necros. That deck didn't age very well either. My favorite deck from what, I don't know, 2013 is Dragon Rulers, and that deck didn't age very well. There's a lot of other decks I liked, and they're not playable anymore because their concepts are outdated. And this is the same thing for Salamangreat. You know, Salamangreat has a huge weakness to Nibiru, and therefore the deck is outdated. This does not mean that Nibiru is a badly designed card or Fuvalos is a badly designed card. What the fuck is this argument? It's called a good argument. I know you're not very familiar with these because I've read what you've said beforehand. So they're the good arguments. Good arguments. So like maybe look into those sometimes. when you're trying to argue. Okay. Yeah, it feels very much like this is how I think you feel about Molcharmies when you just pick up a combo deck and you don't know how to deal with them initially. When, like, let's say you look at, I don't know, you download Master Duel and you're like, okay, how does this one card Dormouse combo work? And you're like, all right, one card Dormouse, I do this, then I make Link Decoder, then I make Apo and Ransom and all that stuff, and this is my end board. And then you get hit with a Molcharmy, and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do now. Let me just do the same thing I'm used to doing. And then you just, like, your opponent just has like 10 cards in hand and actually beats your Apo end board in Malice. And you don't actually realize that you can freaking make like Heartscriptor MTP07 pass or whatever, and have like 5 or 6 cards in hand still, and it's like 2 non-target banishes plus like 3 non-engine or whatever in hand, with like you're giving your opponent 1 or 2 Fuva draws max, and you're actually gonna have to play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh after that, but you're probably still winning. Like, to the point where I don't even consider Molcharmy Fuvalos a good card against Malice in Master Duel right now. Like, I think Maxi is broken against Malice. Molcharmy Fuvalos, genuinely, against the average Malice hand, if your opponent knows what they're doing, is not good. It is not a good card against Malice. You might not like to hear it, but it is not. If your opponent knows what they're doing with Malice, you're going to draw 1 card, and you're not going to beat what they're going to put up still, because that's how good Malice is if it goes for a half board. Like, they're still going to have non-target banishes, like 2 of them. They could search Malice in the Mirror on top, depending on what they have. Like, it's not pretty. It's still losing. And this is the difference between Molcharmies and Maxi, because decks actually have ways to maneuver around it. Yeah. Red Ransom search Mirror is better. Yeah, you can go Red Ransom in 1 special summon from the extra deck, search Malice in the Mirror, on your opponent's turn, activate Mirror, negate a monster effect, banish Ransom, Ransom banishes White Rabbit sets MTP07, you have a non-target banish. That is 2 very strong interruptions. You're probably gonna have like 5 cards in hand, or even 6 if you have access to another Malice card for Chessy Cat. You're going to have hella non-engine in your hand because you're playing Malice, and you're probably just winning the game if you get Fuvalos. And that's just like, the only thing that Fuvalos does in this instance is it forces you to play a fairer deck. It forces you to make a fairer end board, and it gives your opponent a slightly better chance to beat you going second, which is completely fine in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It is completely fine to force your opponent to go Ransom, Mirror, 5 cards in hand, pass. That's reasonable. And you still only have 5 cards in hand. True for Malice, but most decks can't even make a half board where your opponent drawing only 1 card. Most decks can. Most decks can do it with 2 cards max. Ryziel can. Vanquish Soul can. Draco Tail can. It's just, yeah, some decks are outdated because of Fuva now. And even those decks can still freaking play outs to it. Blue Eyes can. So, yeah. Most competitive decks can, not pet decks. Yeah, sure. But pet decks are pet decks for a reason and not competitive decks. A pet deck can still be a pet deck with your deck had lower win rate to begin with. But I want to play Raid Raptor. Well, yeah, but you have to like realize that no one wants to play against Raid Raptor. Or at least wants to have a reasonable chance to beat you when you're playing Raid Raptor and you're going first. Like, this is just something that you need to accept. Like, if you're trying to play a deck that tries to summon like 2 towers that Raigeki the board like 3 times, and then your opponent is like, well, I'm not going to let you do that without using good cards against that strategy, and now you're mad at it. You're like, what do you mean I'm not going to be able to play for 10 minutes uninterrupted and make 2 towers monsters that Raigeki you and some shit? Like, what do you expect? So, I don't know, man. Mermaid for life, no matter how many maxis there are. I mean, that's the thing you have to realize, right? Like, that is the reason why these decks still exist in a competitive environment, because it's possible to play around it. You know, this is why people were still playing Mermail in the TCG. And yeah, Fuvalos was a decent counter to it, but like even Mermail has lines under Fuva. It does not have lines under Maxi. I can tell you that. Fuva is good against it, but it does have lines. So yeah, I don't know. I think Molcharmies are fine, especially Perulia and Meowls. I think Fuva is by far the strongest one in general. And I think it's fair to be frustrated about Fuva if one of your pet decks gets hit exceptionally hard by it. That is a reality that I think you have to live with, but you don't have to like Molcharmies. Like if that's your reason to not like them, I think that's valid. I think some of the arguments presented in this video were not great, especially the Talents one. Like, using Talents and Crossout as arguments against Fuva is crazy to me, because Talents and Crossout alongside Called by the Grave are two of the most toxic cards in recent Yu-Gi-Oh history. And all of them are limited for very good reason in TCG at least. So I don't know. I think like the thing with Molcharmies is similar to Nibiru. This is just going to be, this is the issue with Charmies is just going to get smaller and smaller the longer we go, because you have to realize every single deck now is designed with these cards in mind. Like, similar to how a lot of newer decks have ways now to beat Nibiru if played properly, and a lot of new decks already have decent plans under the Charmies. The same is going to be true for decks in the future, you know? Like, a lot of decks are going to have plans with less extra deck summons to not completely get destroyed by Molcharmies, which ultimately is a good thing, right? It's going to force the design direction into a more balanced game, you know? Like, the ideal scenario is the thing you have to realize is the ideal scenario is that people play decks that Fuvalos isn't even good against, because they're probably going to be fine, right? Like, if there's ever a metagame where people are just like, I don't need to play Fuva, my opponents are not going to make that crazy board anyways, right? This is something you can almost never say about Maxi these days, you know? You cannot even imagine an interesting Yu-Gi-Oh deck anymore that wouldn't give like at least like 3 or 4 cards to a Maxi. I can imagine interesting decks that don't give like multiple cards to a Fuvalos. That's fine. You know, maybe like special 1 extra deck boss monster, special like 1 or 2 boss monsters from your hand, and you're good, right? Like, I can see that being interesting. Like, you look at, I don't know, you look at Draco Tail or something, which is like, if Draco Tail was the only deck that people played right now, people wouldn't be playing Fuva, right? And like, okay, Draco Tail is actually a deck that probably people might not even play Maxi against, but actually, I think they would still. But like, because Maxi also has no downsides, right? But there's like genuine scenarios where you wouldn't play Fuva in a Draco Tail format. So I think it's fine. I just don't think it's that big of a problem. I honestly, most of the time I see people complain about Charmies. It has something to do with they are hyper focused on playing one specific deck and just hate the fact that the Charmy destroys that deck, which I think is valid, but still you have to realize Yu-Gi-Oh is more than your one pet deck. And the other side of the people complaining about Charmies is just a skill issue for the most part. Like, they are either not capable of making half boards under Charmies because they haven't looked into it enough. They don't understand how the deck is supposed to function under a Charmy, or they simply lose with these half boards because they need, you know, they need the full board to win a game of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like, they can't win if they have to go rock pass with a Holy Su in hand in Vanquish Soul, because that requires too much interaction. They need the actual full board to win, right? And I think this is just not something I'm willing to give them. I'm not like, yeah, I agree with you that that's a reason why the card is badly designed. I just think that is a skill issue, and that's that. And I think just the fact alone that you can never Fuva your opponent after you make a board is already like most of the problems solved with that you could even have with the Charmies. I think Charmies would be super toxic if you could use them after you make a board. because when you make a board, there's no half board your opponent can make. Like, it's not like I can do rock pass after my opponent has already made a board, right? I need to play into that to be able to have a chance. So even if they would only be a weaker version of Maxi, it would not be okay. So I think a lot of the things that they wanted to achieve with the Molcharmies design-wise, they have achieved. I think basically the way I feel about it, in a perfect world, Charmies are going to stay relevant. They're going to design around the Charmies a decent amount. And eventually, Charmies are going to go into the side deck. Because that is one part about the Charmies that I don't enjoy, is that at the moment, they still feel like, basically, I'm very happy with the gameplay after a Molcharmy is activated. But sometimes, what I don't like is the gameplay that happens if no one has a Charmy. Because a lot of people are basically playing decks that are designed to do both, right? People are playing a deck that is supposed to have a half board if you get Charmied, but if you don't get Charmied, you still go crazy, right? And that is just something I don't want. I don't want decks to be so powerful that you are forced to play the Molcharmies. But that is not a Molcharmy design problem. That is a deck design problem. You know, like a Mitsurugi Ryziel deck going like Ouroboros hand loop you for 2, having a Murakumo plus a Raigeki on your turn plus a detonator plus whatever. Like that's that type, like the full, like basically I would like the game to operate at a lower power level in general in terms of end boards, which is a direction that we're going in, by the way. I think you can see a clear difference between like, for example, Yami and then like the combo decks of the previous years, right? Do you think Vanquish Soul K9 falls in that category? Yes, I think Vanquish Soul K9, as much as I love Vanquish Soul, I think Vanquish Soul was at a good power level before K9. Now that K9 is out, I think if you have access to both the K9 and the Vanquish Soul engine, I think your end board does too much if you don't get Charmied. So like, the Charmies are what makes the games good against Vanquish Soul K9. Vanquish Soul K9 is not toxic in general. I think Vanquish Soul K9 is like, you know, basically a step in the right direction, but not there yet, if you know what I mean. Like, I think I would always rather play against Vanquish Soul K9, even if they go full combo, than I would like to play against Yubel or Snake Eye from last year. So it's getting better, but that's the other thing you have to realize about a card game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, change does not happen immediately, you know, because if they made these decks like immediately completely what I'm imagining, for example, like they would just probably not be played because they wouldn't be good enough. This is like a change that we need over, like it needs to happen over time. And that's the reason why I'm currently happy, even though I don't think we're there yet, is because I think things are moving in the right direction, which makes me feel good. Like I think decks like Draco Tail, Yummy, K9, Vanquish Soul are all steps in the right direction. And I like that. Jesus Christ, this guy and his Snake Eyes obsession. I mean, it is the most meta-relevant deck from last year. What else would you like me to use as an example when we're talking about card design in previous years? Like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to bring it up. Like, yes. Do you think the game would be in a good state if a single board breaker could actually deny a full end board? I think relying on one singular board breaker to do the entire work for you is not very healthy, no? I bet you're going to talk about Malice and Ryziel as well, aren't you? It's kind of weird that I'm talking about the most relevant Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion, isn't it? It's like, okay, well. Want to watch the new decks in OCG? Give me a second. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this enough. I feel like it's fine. Unpopular opinion, Snake Eye Fire King was actually pretty fun. That's the thing. Like, I'm not even saying that these decks aren't fun. My main argument is that these decks weren't fun to play against, which I think is a different kind of argument, because I can 100% understand why playing these decks yourself is fun. playing Snake Eye was fun. Maneuvering those combos is fun. The Fire King portion was also very fun. Even Malice, believe it or not, Malice is a fun deck to play. But the problem is with these types of decks, Yu-Gi-Oh is zero sum. And I don't think that's the optimal way to do it. I think the player that loses in these types of formats just doesn't have a lot of fun. And I think this is different in the current format. I think you have fun in, like, if you play Draco Tail versus Draco Tail or something. I think both players are going to have fun, most likely. And one of them is going to win, one of them is going to lose, but they're going to feel like they've had a good game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Whereas, like, if you play Snake Eye versus Snake Eye, or Tenpai versus Tenpai, or Yubel versus Yubel, or Malice versus Malice, or whatever, like, it's not that. And I think in an ideal world, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not zero sum, where all the fun that one player has is not enjoyable for the other player. So yeah, that's where I want design space to go. Essentially. Just as an anecdote, this TCG format is the one finally get me to buy a paper deck and start going to locals. It's so much fun. Look, that's the thing, right? That the overarching thing, I don't want this to sound negative because I actually feel positive about Yu-Gi-Oh! At the moment. I think a lot of things are moving in the right direction, but whenever I say this, I feel like I'm kind of forced to explain why things had to go into a better direction to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why currently is so enjoyable to me is because of where we're coming from, basically, right? Like, the reason why I'm so happy about what's happening right now in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because of how I was genuinely worried about the design direction of 2024. Like, if it had continued in this direction and they just made like more versions of Snake Eye, Yubel, Tenpai, but just like stronger and power creep them over and over instead of like exploring different design directions and actually changing how the game works. I can tell you how much longer I would have enjoyed the game if we would have gone the same direction from last year. Eventually, I probably would have stopped enjoying the game. Like if you told me last year, like, yeah, this is how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be forever from now on, I would not have been happy about that. And seeing the direction change, and I don't think I'm alone with this. I know there's probably people that really enjoyed last year, and I think that's also fine. If you enjoyed it, great. But like, I think I was not alone with that sentiment, and I think they have probably gotten the memo on that because they are changing the course, and I do feel a change in course when it comes to these new Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. In particular, Yummy is a deck that I feel relatively, it's not my favorite deck from the new set, but design wise I feel pretty positive about it because it feels like a combo deck, but it feels just like the best of both worlds. Like, it gives the combo player a combo deck to play, but it still has like actual ways to beat it for other players, which at that point it's going to actually require skill to play your Yummy end board optimally. Otherwise, you could still lose with it. And so that's really good. Yummy is a little bit out of control in the OCG in the hands of the best players. Yeah, I mean, sure, but I think that part, honestly, if it's just that, quote unquote, if that's your only critique point, I think that's fine. I think a combo deck requiring you to actually play it perfectly, and if you do, it's pretty strong. That is something I'm willing to accept. It's kind of like how I'm feeling about Memento at the moment in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I don't think Memento is an issue, even though it does make long combos happen. It does make boards that are pretty hard to beat. But still, whenever someone actually pulls off a Memento combo and plays it properly, and then also uses their interruptions perfectly, I'm not that mad about it when I lose to it, because I'm like, you know what? You kind of earned that. And I think that's different than when someone just does a freaking Snake Eye combo and the board is so powerful that they can freaking stumble 3 times along the way. It's not going to be breakable for me. Like the amount of times I'm playing against Malice and I can see the misplays they're making in Master Duel. I see that they're not sequencing it optimally. I see that they could have had even more. And I see that they're not using their interruptions correctly in my turn. And it does not matter because they have too much. Because they've drawn like 4 cards. Like they draw 2 with Chessy Cat, 1 with White Binder, 1 more with White Binder on my turn. And it's like, well, after that, they are bound to happen. Maxi, Impulse, Ash, and whatever, and Nibiru. And it's like, it doesn't matter. I can see the skill gap, but I can't like do anything about it. And I just feel like if that player was playing Memento right now, or if that player was playing Yummy, I would probably beat them. And if they play perfectly and they play a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck, then so, okay, I'll lose. Fine, you know. I am, and I don't know, I am considerably less mad. I'm still mad, but I'm considerably less mad if my Malice opponent plays perfectly. If my Malice opponent plays perfectly, I'm mostly just mad at the deck's existence. But like I'm considerably more mad when my opponent just fumbles the entire game and still wins because of how broken the deck is. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I'm fine with the ideas of combo decks existing, you know? But like combo decks, even if they exist, they need to be like balanced to a point where, you know, they are actually beatable if your opponent messes up a couple of times. You know what I mean? Are you going to win the coin toss better this year? Bro, I am planning to use to win more coin tosses than last year. We'll see if it works, but yeah. For reference, last year at Worlds, I was the player with the least amount of coin toss wins. I think I won, what was it, 6 out of 19. Ryan Yu was the same, actually. Ryan Yu was the same. He also won 6 out of 19, which is crazy. I'm hoping it's better this year. I really hope it's better this year. It'd be very sad. Still made it to the finals. Yeah, but my win rate, I think, was like barely 50%, which is still good considering that. But I think like we got carried by Emre, who just like, I think I've said this before. I've made this comparison before, but it was like, what was that? Yeah, it's like the one where the one is like looks like this. Like this was me all of Master Duel Worlds last year, and then Emre is the one who's like listening to the Maroon 5 song. He's winning all of his coin tosses, and all he has to do is like make a Centurion board or play his flu combo because he's going first the entire thingy, and he's like listening to Payphone. And I'm out there like I have to sweat every single time because I'm going second with my deck. That was last year. I'm hoping this year is different. I'm hoping I can go first a couple of times this year. These were the stats from last year. Yeah. Where is it? Josh. Okay, so I had a 50%. What is this? Win game percentage of deck 1. I had a 50% win rate with Snake Eyes. Win game. Oh no, 47. Yeah, 47. Yeah, not even 50. But I won overall. I won 6 coin tosses out of 19, and Emre won 13 out of 19, and Quantle only won 7. Dude, we had a terrible time last year. Oh, you can't see it. It's behind my face. Hold up. Dude, we only won 26 out of 57 coin tosses total. Jesus Christ. How did we make it to the finals, bro? I had 47% win rate. Quantle had 36% win rate. And Emra 63. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we did get carried by Emre. Which, to be fair, though, Emre got carried by the coin toss a little bit with Centurion and Flu. Oh yeah, no. That's the beauty of it being a team tournament, is like you even when things are not going well for you, you can still rely on your teammates sometimes, you know? Like it's kind of nice. Even if you get unlucky in one match, maybe your teammates can make up for it. It's pretty awesome. Okay, I wanted to take a look at the Road of the King metagame report for the OCG. I think it is not going to be too different from the last one, because we've already looked at the first one from Doom of Dimension, and I think it's not that different. I think you'll make a good Tenpai player with those coin toss statistics. Yeah, arguably. Tenpai wasn't out last year, was it? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Yeah. Is Dracotail slowly disappearing? It seems like there's two things. I mean, I do think OCG is quite different from TCG at the moment to begin with. I think in terms of philosophy, all of the philosophy stuff that we've just talked about is mostly, I mostly mean it like for the TCG. I think the OCG is going a different route, you know, Maxi's still legal and all that. And it's more like comparable to what Master Duel is doing, I would say, for the most part. But Sky Striker is the third most played deck at the moment. Unironically, I think people are also sleeping on Sky Striker in the TCG a little bit, because I think with, at the moment, very few people playing Droll and Lockbird. I think it's actually a viable deck. Or it's gonna be a viable deck eventually, once those Droll and Lockbirds have like faded from the main decks completely. But yeah, I mean, you look at Yummy and Vanquish Soul, obviously still the two best decks. Yummy apparently overtaking Vanquish Soul, which I think is interesting, because we've watched that Sunny video where he talked about how the new Yummy monster is like fine, but not really fixing any of Yummy's like problems completely. So I was under the impression that like, okay, Vanquish Soul K9 is still really, really strong. I mean, it still is pretty strong, but like Yummy, it just seems like Yummy really values the new main deck monster. But one thing that's worth noting about Yummy that I think is really interesting, one of my first impressions when I saw the Marshmallow was like, oh, Yummy just gets more consistent now because you have more names. But it just turns out they don't even play more names. They just play the same deck list as before, and they remove one Cookie and two Filippos to just play 3 Marshmallows. So they just like, instead of, they're not increasing the quantity of names, they're just increasing the quality of names. Yeah. And more PV Rise maps, but that is something that they played sometimes beforehand already. Right? Yeah. And then Vanquish Soul K9 is just pretty much as standard as it gets. With they are including the new K9 normal summon, which is fine, I guess. Other than that, this hasn't really changed. Right? This has not really changed that much. But I guess we can see if there's some interesting text in here. After Zeon's victory with a build that runs 3 Puri Rise map in the main deck, many players have followed suit and achieved similar success. 2 weeks later, the champion of China City Tournament ran the exact same 50 cards in the main deck and extra deck, while many other Yummy had made top 32 or better are on Puri Rise map. So, but this is something that like, what do they search with Puri Rise map most of the time? Is it just like because you can search more Cupsies because Cupsy is the best starter? Because that is something you can already do beforehand, right? Like this is my question is, why didn't they already do this before Marshmallow came out? right? This is technically something you can also do in the TCG right now. You can just play 9 Yummy names plus Rise Map. Droll, yeah, but Droll is not that popular, is it? Also, Droll is, like, Engage is also, I guess Engage is better into Droll than Rise Map a little bit, but, like, you still play after. Maybe it's not like, maybe it has nothing to do with Marshmallow, but it's more like a general just development that has happened. So, yeah. Bad going second against Vanquish Soul because you self-decay, basically. Sure. If you pay half and then you go to 4,000 and then you get burned 1,800 by the field spell and then by Borgar, you are most likely dead next turn. Well, yeah. Bad against Eniacraft, just saying. Yeah, this is before the deck building pack, right? This is before the deck building pack, so those cards are not out yet. But yeah. Zayan has written a tournament report that explained his choices. Notably, he reasoned that his choice of running Piri Rise Map is to open better into Max C. Wonderful. Cupsy Yummy is the strongest opening since you can end on Snatchy, a Croaky, and Surprise to give the opponent only 1 draw from Max C. Opening with other Yummy effect monsters, you would be forced to go into Snatchy and have Minion bring back the other Yummy monster, giving 2 draws from Max C. Of course, that is another reason in the OCG why Engage is worse, because that is a significant amount of draws before you can actually play. Having Yummy Surprise in hand also makes the play more resilient against opponent's disruption. Yummy, yeah, I mean, Cupsy is the strongest starter. We know this. Yummy Surprise becomes an extender to special summon back Cupsy if the opponent bounces it with Arthalion, or to special summon another Yummy from hand if the opponent takes control with Holy Sue. Zayan opted not to run Hornet Drones as it gives too many draws into Max C and Fuvalos. Hornet Drones also conflicts with Dominus Purge as Kagari is a fire monster. Yeah, I think all of this makes a lot of sense, and I would not be surprised if these are, like, if the Piri Rise Map stuff gets adapted a little bit more in the TCG. However, once again, these two formats are so hard to compare because Max C is such a big deal. Like, it's yeah. I mean, Cupsy is still the strongest starter in the TCG for some of the other reasons that are mentioned, like, you know, the fact that you can play Purge and it doesn't lock you out of Kagari, or the fact that you can play better into an Arthalion bounce or a Holy Suit take if you start with Cupsy. All of that is valid, right? And so, like, playing multiple Piri Rise Map in TCG could also be an argument, but for us, it's just like we can explore more options because we don't have Maxi. Yeah, it's just like these decks have been getting very streamlined in the OCG already, and I don't think that much is going to change about it, right? Vanquish Soul. Yummy is the most popular deck played and takes the most spots in Top Cut across multiple tournaments, making Yummy the main deck to beat. To improve their matchup against Yummy, several K9 Vanquish Bowls have cut Izuna from 3 to 2 in the main deck, as Yummy could play without triggering Izuna. 2 Rescue Ace Impulse and a Fire Attacker are also played in the side deck to switch with the 2 Izuna and the Lupus. Okay, so basically because Yummy never plays into Izuna, you just play 2 and 1. You could make an argument to just play 1 Izuna to have it be searchable off of Case of K9. I've seen some people in the TCG even doing that sometimes. Not everyone is on 3 Izunas because it is a little bit required, like, dependent on what your opponent does. I think in TCG right now, because Yummy is not the most popular deck by far, it's like the Izuna has more value and it is actually pretty good against most decks. But, like, yeah, it is not the crazy hand trap that everyone thinks it is. It's just a solid card, and it's not like mandatory in every build. Rescue as Impulse is easier to trigger against Yummy when the opponent normal summons Cupsy and activates the effect. You can, yeah, okay, we know how Impulse works. Possibly drawing some disruptions. Impulse and Fire Attacker are fire attributes that is more useful against Yummy. As mentioned above, Yummy could play through Vanquish Soul Holy Sue, effect revealing Earth and Dark with just a single Cupsy Yummy, but would be harder to play through revealing Fire and Dark. Yeah, because you get 2 pops. They need 2 extenders. Yeah. Rescuer's Impulse first effect can also be used against Lunalight Liger Dancer. As stated, Rescuer's Impulse is an effect that is applied to both players. Thus, even if a monster is unaffected, the monster's effect can still not be activated. Okay, that's interesting. But how do you out the Liger Dancer even if you like impulse it? You just have to like burn them with Borger. Fair. Fine. Ooh, there's a Pantera in the side deck. What's the Pantera for? I was unironically thinking about Pantera in like Vanquish Soul against Draco Tail. Because they set something on your first turn. You're like, okay, well, I'm go through Pantera and pop that. Mainly it's just for Floodgates. Yeah, maybe. Okay, and that's it. Conclusion. Yummy pulls further ahead with Vanquish Soul trailing behind. Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be more interesting if they, like, I understand that they are giving us a breakdown of the most popular decks in these meta breakdowns. Oh, they explain Pantera? Where? No. It's not here. Am I blind? Because every card name is bolded. So I don't think... No, it's not here. I got one guide. My bad. What I was trying to say is, as I do think it's interesting to show the most popular decks and the most successful decks, I think it would be really cool to just keep track and talk about briefly like the most viable, let's say, rogue decks, you know? Like, give us the best performing Sky Striker deck list, the best performing Draco Tail deck list, the best performing Malice deck list. You can keep the Malice deck list to yourself. But like, you know what I mean? Right? Like, give us like a thingy. I know there's sources and you can look up like this, but I just found that like tiring to always look through all of these the references and find, and then you're just gonna find the deck list, right? You're not gonna find the same write-up that you do about the meta decks, right? Like, I think like a small paragraph about those decks would be nice, right? Like just show like, okay, here's the best performing Sky Striker deck, and this is notable, and so on and so forth. That'd be cool. But yeah. Okay. All right, y'all. With that, I think it is time for me to pack my bags. I am out of things I've wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Once again, I didn't want to leave you guys without a stream for the entire week, but I gotta go. I gotta go to Worlds. I'm starting to get pretty excited, actually. I can't wait. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you will cheer us on over the course of the weekend. And yeah, I hope you'll have a good time watching the World Championships. For whether you're watching TCG, Master Duel, Rush Duel, or Speed Duel, or all of it, you know. Hope you have a good time. Hope to see some of you in Paris, maybe watching, because there are spectators this time around. So, you know, you can feel free to come say hi. And yeah, thank you all for watching today. Code name, thank you for the last minute 5 gifties. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Also, everyone else, thank you for the subs. I will try to have the sub alert fixed when I come back from Worlds. Next stream probably going to be on my birthday. I'll probably do a small Worlds recap and birthday stream, which would be next Wednesday. So yeah, until then, I hope to see some of you guys at Worlds. Hope you all enjoy your weekend. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of the support. And other than that, I will see you guys on stream again next week. So bye-bye, everybody. Peace.